morning. Good morning.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
I'm real good, Corey. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for asking. How are you, America? How art thou? Everybody have a good Monday. Everybody enjoying their life right now. Everybody just having the best day. I hope you had a great Monday. I hope your week's off to a tremendous start. Lamar Jackson's is just 5 touchdowns through the air, 1 on the ground last night. No big deal. Just another day for Lamar. Also, hate to be Todd Bowles this morning.
Lamar.
That would be odds on betting favorite for NFL MVP for the 3rd time.
So,
Lamar.
So what?
That's who.
He's getting paid. Good on him.
He is getting paid a lot.
Paid, and then he actually needs to win, some playoff games.
Yeah, it's him by himself.
Well, everything else was just him by himself. But as soon as I bring that up, then suddenly he's a team guy. So, all right, MVP is an individual award, but he will go down in history if he cannot make it to a Super Bowl as another guy who was a really good player but couldn't get it done.
He and Josh Allen both in the category of players who were had the unfortunate coincidence of being born around the same time as Patrick Mahomes. Which, by the way, I want you to know before we get here, because I don't want to start today on a sour mode. I'm in a great mood today. Zoe, later on, you and I are going to listen to a radio host who went after Patrick Mahomes, and I am going to defend him vociferously today.
Who's the host or Patrick Mahomes?
Mahomes.
Okay.
Mahomes, because there's this narrative being spun right now about Patrick Mahomes that I think is that
he's
bad and wrong.
That he's a game manager, and that the only reason why he's winning is because he's in Andy's system. And it's probably I'm just guessing.
It's along those lines. It's not unfair to say it's along those lines. Effectively, the argument right now is that statistically speaking, Patrick Mahomes is a bottom mid quarterback. And statistically speaking, that's actually correct. For
the season, for sure.
Yes.
Overall, they keep putting him up against Tom Brady's stats, and he's winning every time. So, at this point of their career.
You're not wrong about that. And there's plenty of questions we can ask, but the question mark is Mahomes okay? And I'm actually going to tell you why, if you're freaking out about Patrick Mahomes right now, and the fact that, again, statistically, he's still – Lamar Jackson, we talked about it a second ago, is plus 275 to win the NFL MVP award this year. And Mahomes is like plus 450.
Yeah, it's a popularity award. What's it get? It looks good on your resume for sure. But in the end, it's not a championship. And if you ask Lamar, and I'm sure people have, he'd rather have a championship.
Literally asked him last night after the game was over. They're like, hey, man, you're in that, like during the course of that game, the Vegas odds shifted. During the course of that game, Lamar went from like 3rd to 1st in the betting market. And they're like, well, how you feel about this? What does this mean to you? And he's like, effectively, and I'm paraphrasing and I'm not particularly close, but you could hear the intonation of the voice. He's like, I don't give a damn, dog. I want a ring. I don't care. I don't care about that. I want a ring, which of course he doesn't. He's got 2, but he would also become the youngest ever 3-time award winner if he was to get it this year. Again, I believe him. I don't think he cares about it. I don't think it matters to him. However, while I will say this, the NFL's MVP award is less of a popularity contest than the Heisman Trophy. I will stand on that. It is less of a, I do think if you were to go back and look at MVPs year by year, more often than not, even if it's not the guy you think should have won, I think more often than not, it's a guy that overall most of us would agree deserved a nod that year, was at least in the conversation at the end of the year. And I think you can probably say that about the Heisman Trophy to some degree. But the difference is, I think in the NFL, most of the guys, if not all of the guys we think deserve a nod, are at least in the running. Whereas with the Heisman Trophy, that's not always the case, right? Like you're telling me we haven't had the best player in college football be a running back in how many years now? A dozen? You're telling me that exclusively every year, without question, quarterbacks are the best? I don't think that's true. I will say I do think the NFL MVP, I'm sorry, occasionally it should go to an offensive lineman. Ronnie Stanley right now is the MVP of that team. What that guy is doing right now off the offensive line to keep Lamar Jackson alive is impressive. That dude was last night running out into the flats on screens and leveling bros to open up the floor for Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson and these guys off the edge. So I got to think at least once in a blue moon, an O-lineman, a D-lineman, a linebacker, a cornerback, a safety are the best player in football. But I also understand that the way that we have constructed, the way that we operate in the NFL, numbers are the thing. And Lamar Jackson's absolutely in that mix. But I think there's this narrative being built. We're going to come to this a little later in the show. I'll play the audio for you from the Rich Eisen show, which is where this conversation emanated from. I think that there's this narrative being spun about the baby goat right now, about Patrick Mahomes, that he's got 8 picks. He leads the NFL in picks. But I also have to point out, Lonzo, if I asked you right now for an adjective or two to describe the Chiefs' offensive line, it would be what? They would be what? What words would you use to describe the Kansas City offensive line?
Probably better than what you're implying. The interior 3 are the best in all of football. It's been commented on 1,000 times as far as that goes. The tackles are a little suspect, especially Mr. Let me get a quick start on things.
Every damn snap.
Yeah, I'm okay with the offensive line. By the way, I just checked because I was curious as far as MVPs. It's either been a quarterback or a running back going all the way back to 1982.
Yeah, we've looked at the list before.
1982 was a kicker.
Who won it in 1982?
Mark Mosley.
I should know that off the top of my head, but also I shouldn't. I should, but also I shouldn't.
And then you go back to quarterbacks or running backs.
Yeah,
there's a defensive tackle in 1971.
I was going to say, I know back in the day they
Alan
used
Page.
to give it to guys that didn't play quarterback or running back.
So historically, this is just a quarterback or running back award. That's all it is.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing. Because again, the way NFL football is constructed in 2024, considering how much the game has evolved to make quarterbacks the most important person on the field, it doesn't shock me that they win not a majority, the overwhelming majority of the MVP awards. And I would say that more often than not, when a quarterback gets it, the quarterback that gets it is usually the right quarterback.
All right. I don't know if you know this, but I'm curious. You said he jumped from 3 to 1. Who was 1 before last night? In the odds?
Josh Allen would have been my guess.
So you
I don't know off the top of my head.
Right.
I know he went from 3 to 1, and I know Mahomes went from 1 to 2. I believe it was Josh Allen that was 1, who is now 3, I think. But we'll see. I'll tell you now. I will say this: as much as Lamar Jackson's an absolute dog, this is why the MVP conversation is fun to me, because you know who, to me, the MVP of this team is? Derrick Henry. And it's not just because my man's reeling off 80-plus yarders like he did last night, even though he did not score a touchdown when I needed him to. Even though he's reeling off 80 yarders, and that's obviously a big help. Do you know why Derrick Henry's the MVP? And this doesn't show up on a stat sheet, never will. This isn't something that is quantifiable, though I think if you know ball, you understand the importance. It's because every time 22 is on the field and 22 takes a step, you've got to account for that guy. You've got to keep an eye on him, and it opens the field up tremendously for Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is in the spot Lamar Jackson's in because of Derrick Henry, which is why I said during this offseason, I think Derrick Henry is going to be the most consequential addition to any team in the offseason across the entire league. I think what Henry's going to do for this offense is not going to be, it'll be measurable in terms of the yardage that he gets. It'll be measurable in terms of the, the ability that he brings to the football field. It'll be measurable in terms of those 80-yard snap-offs and the fact that if you're inside of the 5, Derrick Henry is running through somebody's damn chest to score. But what Derrick Henry does in terms of opening the field up is something else. Speaking of that, not a guy that's in the MVP conversation right now, but how about Kyler Murray with his touchdown scamper last night? Was consistent with the football. Zoe, have you come around to any on Kyler Murray with his Cardinals this year? I mean, they're only 3-4, but that's a team that had, I think their over-under win total on the season was either 5 or 6, and they're 2 wins away from topping it.
Have you?
Have I come around? I was never like, he was always a guy that I'm like, it's in there. It's in there. But I put Kyler Murray in the same boat that I did, not anymore, but in the same boat I did with BY, in that he was placed into a franchise for, and I'm not saying Kyler Murray was like the model of what I want out of my quarterback.
I don't know if you knew this. I don't know if you knew this, but you probably have seen a lot of the ads. New Call of Duty. Enjoy it while you can. enjoy it while you can, because his stats and everything about to go down.
We have made a point in the past of the fact that there is, and again, causation does not equal correlation, okay? However, there's also a chart. So there's a chart that comes out once a year that if you plot out Kyler Murray's offensive efficiency, anytime that a new Call of Duty game drops, so does Kyler Murray's offensive efficiency. And it's kind of one of those things that you're like, haha, that's funny, but also I don't know if it's really a joke. You know, I can't really say for certain. It's again, causation doesn't equal correlation. There's another graph I saw one time, though, that it plotted like shark attacks versus the presidential election or something.
I get it, but in this case, if I recall, there was stuff in contracts and things like that.
There was. The Cardinals actually got in a bit of hot water because when they signed Kyler Murray to his first extension, they put a homework clause in there. Basically, what they wanted to do was put tracking software on his iPad and say you have to spend X amount of time studying the Play iPad in order to make sure you're learning this offense. And if you don't, it's going to start dinging your salary. And people are like, yo, why Kyler Murray? Like, this doesn't happen. And there were a lot of people that were playing up like it was a race thing, or it was a privilege thing, or it was this, that, and the other. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, especially with the Players Association having the power that it does, a team can't come out and go, he plays too many video games, man. Like, here's the graph. You can't trot that graph out as the reason that Kyler Murray is the only quarterback in the NFL that literally gets told, do your homework or you're grounded.
Yeah, it's not like having a clause where you can't ride a motorcycle or you can't play basketball or something like that. But it's similar to that. And he does play video games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's out there. And Call of Duty just happens to be one of his favorites. And
the new one looks good, too,
and there's
by the
a
way.
new one. We're seeing all the ads.
Have you seen the commercials for it?
Yeah.
It looks pretty good.
That dude that shows up on everything,
Yeah.
including trying to hit Scott Van Pelt with the football machine.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny. All right, so we're going to talk a lot of NFL on the radio broadcast today. Looking forward to that. We got to talk some college football as well. Tuesday is always a fun day because we get to look back at the weekend that was with a little bit of perspective. We get to look back with the emotion kind of subsiding a bit from the weekend. So we will do that. We will also go ahead and start looking towards Lonzo, the NBA's regular season begins tonight. And I'm going to tell you, there is a banger right out of the gate. The Knicks and the Celtics go at it tonight live from the Boston Garden in downtown Boston, Massachusetts. I think this is a I think this is an Eastern Conference Finals preview. I think these two teams are matching up again in the Eastern Conference Championship. We're bringing back the 80s rivalry, baby, the Knicks and the C's tonight at Boston Garden. So we're going to talk some NBA. We'll give our preseason prognostications, predictions, and projections coming up later on in the radio broadcast. We got your audio blitz coming up at 8 o'clock this afternoon. And I will tell you that had a conversation with Marty. Well, with Marty's manager yesterday. Had a conversation with Marty's manager, and right now, tentatively scheduled to have him on the show on Thursday. I'm going to say tentatively because I'm tired of jinxing interviews. It's like 5 in a row. That as soon as I announce it on the air, I get popped.
What are you going to fit him in on Thursday?
Well, likely what's going to happen is I'm going to record it on Wednesday evening.
Okay.
And then once he gets done with his day, and I talked to his manager yesterday, and he's on assignment. And I wasn't even mad. They sent him up to West Point to do a piece with the Army football team.
There you go.
And I'm like,
yeah.
All right, I accept that. I was going to get real mad if they're like, oh, they sent him to Athens. Again with Georgia. But they didn't. They sent him up to West Point to cover Army. And I am all in for Marty taking 10 minutes away from this show to go cover the Army football team, who, by the way, is a top 25 football team now. Shout out to the Knights. Shout out to West Point. So hopefully, tentatively, theoretically, we'll have him on Thursday morning. It may be replayed from the night before. I don't care. I'm glad to have him on the show. I will tell you, Zoe.
You didn't have to say it. You could have just said we're going to work him in. I mean, No,
that's fine. I don't mind. I don't mind saying
Thursday's very busy.
It is
as far as interviews go.
It is. We got Lulu Kesson. We got Hayden Ass Mario. We got Fight Club. We got Rashad Beard. All up in here. And if we add Marty to the mix, we do. I will say, Zoe, and I'll see if it ends up getting recorded. I think that's good, because if it's recorded in the afternoon, you know what I can do? I can get showered. I can hit the air blower, and I can get the swoop working. And then I won't say anything about it, but we'll just play the video next day, and I'll let you be the unbiased judge of the swoop v swoop competition between Marty and I that he doesn't know we're having.
I don't know if I can be unbiased as far as that goes, because I'm already leaning in one direction.
Oh, Marty's the winner.
Yeah,
Marty's the answer.
I mean, I've seen that thing a bunch of times, and he probably has help. I'm guessing he doesn't do that himself, but it could be right.
I don't know. I do my own swoop. And I feel like I'm not as good. I don't have the swoop Marty has, but I feel like I'm in the game.
Yeah, but if
I'm in the swoop game,
if you're on national TV and you got people who do that thing, I mean, for a living,
that's fair.
You let them do that thing.
That's fair. All right, we'll let you know how it goes, where we're at. Let's do this. Let's run to a break. When we come back here in just a minute, we're just diving right in. We got a lot of NFL talk to get through the gate today, including Mike Tomlin being unintentionally the most hilarious person on planet Earth. We're going to talk about that coming up in a minute. We're going to talk about Amari Cooper and the Bills and what that team looked like this weekend and more. What a show we got lined up. Don't go anywhere. Rob Lonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show, is on The Fan Upstate.
My world.
All right, guys, good morning. Straight out of the gate with a read. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It's the fan upstate, the great one, Lonzo. Rob Brown with you here on an Upstate Tuesday AM. We got a lot we're bouncing around on right now. One of the things I would like to dial in on today is we spent quite a bit of time yesterday on the landscape in collegiate football. I'd like to talk quite a bit of NFL football on the show today because there is no shortage of it. I'm going to use this later on in the audio blitz as well, but I love this clip. I heard this clip last night and I was dying. And I'll tell you why. It is because of the fact, aside from the fact that Mike Tomlin is maybe, or at least in this moment, unintentionally the funniest dude in the National Football League. They're like, you know how I say all the time, the reason we love sports is drama, right? We love drama. If you think about it, the greatest games you've ever watched, they're great because of drama, right? And drama can include high levels of competition or not, but we love the drama. We love good comeback stories. We love an underdog. We like drama. And there was drama in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as Russell Wilson made his return as the as a starter, his debut as the starter of the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend. And there was a quarterback sneak called for Russ Wilson over the weekend, and Russ was able to pile through and pick up a first down and all that, like seal the game. It's all well and good. Russell Wilson, of course, after getting booed and chants of Justin Fields' name echoed through Heinz Field this weekend, Russell Wilson came back out and led the Steelers to 34 unanswered points in a demo job of the New York Jets. Well, one of the problems that I have, and if you're watching the stream, you're about to see Lonzo's eyes get real big. One of the problems that I do have with people who cover sports in the media is that sometimes they try to manufacture drama for the sake of a story. So creating a story, right? And obviously there's not much more drama.
That doesn't happen.
It absolutely does. And I don't think that it is as frequent as a lot of you would like to believe that it is. But
Rob, all media, they call things right down the middle. They don't put bias in there. They just report the story.
I literally just said that's not the truth. I literally just said that. I appreciate your sarcasm. I'm dripping in it over here. But I literally just said that's not the case.
Why are you getting mad? I'm just saying.
Because I there's this whole conversation for not this radio program about the concept that is being created by, about the media by those who are covered by it that I don't appreciate.
I'm sorry. I was talking about sports media.
I know you were. I know you were. I'm talking about not sports media in general. But again, that's why I said
sports show. We're talking about.
I agree.
Stuff. Okay. I don't know why you got to go over there.
Because you asked why you came at why I made it hostile. That's the reason. You asked, I answered. The reason is because I think people have developed this thing where, that guy's got a notepad and a pencil. He's an evil person. And that's not the case. Really? And somebody worked in it. Yes.
I don't think I've ever heard that before. I mean, just because you believe something so strongly that you're going to sway things your way doesn't mean you're evil. That just means that's your belief.
No. It is okay. We all know what both of us are saying right now. We're going to leave that right there. Okay. So what I am going to say is this. Some people don't make it easy to defend the position of those with notepads and pencils. All right. Like this intrepid young reporter who got an opportunity to ask Mike Tomlin a question at the press conference about Russell Wilson. Listen to the way she shapes the question and Mike Tomlin's response. To it. This is from the press conference after the Steelers win over the Jets.
What does it say that Russ kept the ball and pushed his way in for that 1-yard rushing touchdown? And what did you learn about maybe his resilience and his strength in that moment?
It was just a sneak.
This is my favorite answer. And by the way, I didn't clip anything out of context. That's what Mike said, and he moved on. That's what he said. He moved on. He said it was just a sneak. She said, what does it tell you about his resilience and his strength. And I know what she's doing. Like, I get it. She's trying to offer up on a silver platter an opportunity for Mike Tomlin to come out and say, oh, he's so brave, he's so strong, he's so courageous, he's such a men's man.
He's a football player who made a football play that he was supposed to make.
That's Mike.
Yeah,
That's Mike.
I mean, that's, but in the end, that's really what it comes down to.
Listen, I understand. That is what it comes down to. And that's why Mike's answer was Mike's answer. It was a sneak.
What does it say that Russ kept the ball and pushed his way in for that 1 yard rushing touchdown? And what did you learn about maybe his resilience and his strength in that moment?
It was just a sneak.
It was just a sneak because it was. Now, again, I get what she's trying to do. There's been drama on this show about this situation, right? Lonzo and I have been going back and forth about Justin Fields and Russell Wilson since Russell Wilson came to the team and Justin Fields came to the team.
There's no drama. I have my favorite player and you have yours. That's not drama.
It's not my favorite player. It's
your favorite player won out.
Yes, you know, Russell.
Way to go, you.
Russell corny ass cheese ball Wilson is my favorite player.
Come on. Let's ride.
Let me cook. Listen, there's been drama on this show about this situation. I understand what this young lady's doing. She's giving Mike the opportunity to take his quarterback who just got his first start and didn't just win, but balled out in the win and praise and elevate and sing the good word of Russell Wilson out there. And also, maybe, possibly, in a situation where Steelers fans for about 15 minutes were chanting for the return of Justin Fields before they, stopped doing that because Russ cooked. Let's ride. Maybe stir the pot a little bit. Maybe stir up a little drama about the QB1 position in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, despite the fact that you, me, and everybody else knows that you are trotting Russell Wilson out again this week when the Steelers take back to the football field. But I appreciate Mike Tomlin not taking the bait right there. I appreciate Mike Tomlin straight up saying, hey, look, it was a QB sneak. That's what he's supposed. There is only one time that you should be talking about a QB sneak, and that's if it fails, right? That's if it fails. If you're in a 4th and 1 or you're in a goal to go from the 1 and you run a QB sneak and your QB doesn't get it, and even then, you're not really talking about the QB. You're talking about why'd you make that call and what went wrong. But this young lady served up an opportunity for Mike Tomlin. And I love this as a football coach. I love this as a football coach because if you say anything but that, you are creating drama. If you say anything but that, you are already splitting and pardon me for using the expression, but you're creating a Pittsburgh civil war, right? Because there are still not as many as there were about 1 quarter into that football game on Sunday, but there are still Steelers fans or Justin Fields fans who believe that Justin Fields should get his QB1 spot back.
I think there are people who look at the team and see that they were winning, and usually on teams, I believe it's historical. I could be wrong. That when a quarterback is winning, they keep the job, especially when there was a competition for it. Not like it's Josh Allen gets hurt and whoever his backup is, I don't know who he is. I'm guessing you don't either, plays well enough to win the game. When Josh Allen comes back, he gets the job.
Sure.
But in this case, there was a battle in camp, supposedly, for the job.
I mean, there was. Russell Wilson was QB1 about 2 weeks before the regular season started, and then obviously he went down with the a hamstring injury or whatever it was that kept him out of the spot.
Bunion, something like that.
But again, this is one of those spots, and you guys wonder why this is such a passionate topic, or at least something that comes up on the show all the time. This is why I tell you, do not look at wins and losses as quarterback stats, because they're not. They're team stats, all right? They are a team stat. This is not the National Quarterbacking League. It's the National Football League, played by football teams, not individual quarterbacks against each other. A quarterback
I'm guessing all defenders would go totally against you on that.
I don't care. They would be wrong. It is not a team stat. If it was, then we would just have QB skill competitions every week, right? If it was a quarterback stat, we wouldn't play football. We would trot out 32 quarterbacks and have them. It's Monday night quarterback competition. Today's matchup: Patrick Mahomes v. Josh Allen. Tonight's activities: throwing a ball into a trash can, throwing a ball through a swinging tire, throwing a ball that's on fire, whatever.
By the way, people would watch that.
100% I'd watch that. Are you kidding me? Remember the old Pro Bowl weekend when they did the QB skills competitions? That was my favorite part.
They do that again.
Oh, did they bring that? But don't they do like dodgeball and stuff now?
They do that too, but they also have the quarterback competition. They brought that back.
I'm going to keep it a buck. I haven't watched Pro Bowl stuff outside of the game itself in a very long time. If they do that, I'm back.
Yeah, it has its own special night. It's usually like on Thursday for the entire weekend.
Is it like the names? Is it Mahomes and Allen in the game?
It's names.
They're like,
sure.
here comes.
Well, Mahomes is usually busy that weekend.
That's also true. That's fair.
Because remember they moved it to the weekend before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So.
But this is why I scream at you people. Quarterbacks should they get elevated credit above other positions for wins and losses? Yes. They get more credit and more blame for wins and losses, but it is not a QB stat. As is evidenced, you can absolutely say this win was because of Patrick Mahomes or because of Josh Allen. And you can also point out that this team is winning or losing in spite of the play of a quarterback. But it's not a quarterback stat. And I would make the argument that the Pittsburgh Steelers were not winning because of Justin Fields. Justin Fields was fine. They were winning because, as is the case, Mike Tomlin put together a good, well-coached football team. So Mike Tomlin did, I think, a very smart football coach thing here and avoided drumming up any further controversy, avoided drumming up any more drama among Steelers fans by taking the path to say that the win this weekend was because of the guts and grit and determination of Russell Wilson. He said, I appreciate the question, lady, but he ran a quarterback sneak. That's all the guy did. He ran a QB sneak. Did it tell you anything about his resolve and his resilience and his strength? My guy, it tells me he ran the ball in from a yard out, as is, the job. All right, we'll talk more NFL coming up later on in the show. Rob Brown, the Great Malonzo, and you. It is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
College football, AP poll, Clemson moving up one spot.
Joe, what's up, big fella? Good to see you, buddy. Oh, we have more sore today than it was yesterday.
So if you're 50 and up, just listen and say, come on, you learned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM. Or visit us
Right now, I don't see it. I'm proud to be Aaron Rodgers. I'm proud to be this guy. I'm proud to be that guy.
This is the Line. As a warehouse manager, her job is to transform chaos into clarity and to see patterns where others see problems. Luckily, she's got a partner who shares her perspective. Ranger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products, backed by real-person support and in-depth online resources, so she can tackle every task with precision and turn potential setbacks into streamlined success. Call clickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
It's our team. And by the way, the defense thinks if you're that damn good, then win the damn game yourself. I don't see it. Like, no. When are we going to feel like this? Instead of using one damn finger. Because I just see a bunch of
So speaking of drama, there's a little bit of drama going on right now in Tampa Bay. Last night at the end of the game, just a little bit over a minute remaining in the contest, and Todd Bowles had his starters out on the football field, and that included Chris Godwin. Now, if you missed it, early in the game, there was already an issue because Mike Evans was out. Mike Evans had a hamstring injury, dropped the touchdown pass, and then stayed down, had a hamstring injury, had to leave the contest. So they were already down one of their best wide receivers. Minute and some change left to go. The Tampa Bay offense has the ball. They're down 10. And the starters are still out there, right? The starters are still out there. Chris Godwin goes down, lays out for a catch, gets rolled up on what probably should have been called a hip drop tackle. But whether or not it got flagged is irrelevant. Player lands on Godwin's ankle, dislocated his ankle. You could see it. It was pretty gnarly. Dislocated Godwin's ankle, and we don't know how extensive the injury is. But the fear right now is that Chris Godwin's going to be done for the year. After the game was over, Todd Bowles got asked why your starters were still in the game. And here's how he answered.
Coach, you're down 10. You don't have any timeouts. It's under a minute. You would need a score, an onside kick, another score. Why is Chris Godwin in the game?
Well, he's a player. We're trying to win the ball game. I mean, we were still down 10. We're trying to get extra points and kick another onside kick. It just happened. With Mike going down, we didn't have that many receivers left as it was, so we play what we got.
Isn't that even more, perhaps, important to preserve Chris for the Falcons if Mike's possibly not going to play?
Well, you can say that because he got hurt. We don't second guess. We got our guys. We're playing everybody we got. It's unfortunate he got hurt, and we feel bad about that, but he's a football player, and he wanted to be in the game just like Baker and everybody else wanted to be in the game.
Do you have an obligation to protect your players from themselves?
I do protect my players all the time. That has nothing to do with why we left them in the ball game. We still had a shot to score some points and win the ball game. It happened. It happens in football.
Fine answer, right? Fine answer. Good with all that.
I think at some point I cut the reporter off and didn't say, why are you trying to imply that he got hurt because he was in the game? He was doing his job. I mean, I don't get the line of questioning. You leave them in because that's their job. It's not like college. This is their job. We don't take you out because it's the end of the show and you're feeling we want to protect you and make sure you don't lose your voice at the end of the show. You don't do that. You don't take the plumber out when he's got just a couple more things to take care of and then the job's done.
Well, if the plumber was doing something that could result in him having his ankle dislocated and not being able to plumb anymore.
Yeah, man, being under a sink is dangerous.
I'm not disagreeing. I don't do manual labor. I hire other people to do manual labor. All right. It's part of the reason I'm poor. I pay other people to do stuff for me.
Wait, that was a good recovery. That was a good recovery.
No, listen, I get the question. Now, all of that, a fine question. And this is one of those spots where, there's going to be a philosophical difference, right? And we're going to talk about this with an NBA player later on in the show because Kevin Garnett's upset as Joel Embiid is not going to play back-to-back games as an NBA player this year. Garnett's like, yo, what? 82 games is the job, bud. Get after it. And we're going to talk about this because on one hand, I get it. They're football players. You send them out there to play, right? And there's a chance to win the game. You send them out there and play. And those of you that already know where I'm going with this segment, hold tight because I'm coming to it. I know there's nefarious intent here. The second thing is you did this when you already know Mike Evans is out. And with a hamstring injury, probably at least a couple of weeks, right? So you're already down your number one. Now your number two has a dislocated ankle. Now it's time that Baker's got to go play hero ball because he's probably without his top two receivers for the next foreseeable number of weeks. And you just gave the L back that would have given you the opportunity to take a lead in the NFC South. And now you're right there still fist fighting with the Atlanta Falcons for it. Now, all those things are fair. All those things are fair. I think it is fair to say you keep Godwin out there with a chance to play and a chance to win. I think it's fair to say you're downtown with a buck 07 and no timeouts. You can't get the ball back. Why is that guy out there? Except for this great one. There is a reason you don't send Godwin out there. There's a reason you don't send any of your starters out there. Here's the reason. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had already attempted 2 onside kicks in this football game. Under the new onside kick rules, you are only allowed 2 onside kick attempts in the NFL now, which means that even had Godwin caught that football and taken it 60 to the house and scored a tutty, Tampa can't onside kick. They've already exhausted their limited supply of onside kicks, meaning even if Tampa scores a touchdown, that game's over. They have already lost. They cannot onside kick at that point. They must kick the ball off to Baltimore. At that point will be under a minute left with no timeouts. They can't win. So now I have to label it. Now I have to label it an organizational failure. Now I have to say it's an organizational failure because even if Todd Bowles, who as the head coach should know that rule, we have already onside kicked twice. We cannot do it a third time. I need my head coach to know that. But even if my head coach doesn't know that, the special teams coordinator should know that. The offensive coordinator should know that. One of the multitude of offensive assistant coaches out there on the football field, or one of the multitude of special teams coaches out there on the football field, should be going to Todd Bowles and going, Coach, we lost. We can't onside kick again. Wait, is it we have exhausted our onside kicks. We're not allowed to onside kick, which means we can't win this game. Get the starters out of there. Because on any given one play, you could have something crazy happen like, I don't know, your number 2 wide receiver could go down to a dislocated ankle after your number 1 wide receiver has already left the game with a hamstring injury. And now in a spot where you are indeed eligible and fist fighting to win the division, now you got to attack it with Baker Mayfield and your top 2 wide receivers missing. Not a great look, not a great vibe, not a good thing. So while if an onside kick's on the table, I got no problem with Chris Godwin being out there. If an onside kick is on the table, you do everything you can to go win the game because the best thing in the world is you win that game, you get the tutty, you get the onside kick. Baker has a hero ball moment. You score a tutty, you win the game outright. You hand Lamar Jackson his second ever loss to an NFC team, and you're right back in the divisional hunt. But somebody on that team, somebody on that sideline with a headset has got to know the rules and has got to know we can't onside kick again. Ergo, we have lost. Ergo, we need to pull the starter so nobody gets hurt. That is an organizational failure from top to bottom by the Buccaneers, and it just cost them about their entire offense.
All right. You are never, ever going to convince me, nor the people who have the mindset that you do as far as this goes. Players get hurt in practice. They get hurt in preseason. They get hurt in their shower. He could have been hurt standing on the sidelines when a player fell into his knee or something. That is their job. They get hurt. It sucks. It really does. but I don't have a problem with him being out there, and I don't understand all that stuff. He's out there doing his job.
You can't win. You are incapable of winning.
Out there doing his job.
Winning is 0.00% possibility.
Still doing his job.
Lonzo, let me ask you this question. I'm good with all that. Are you good with players having no off-season basketball clauses in their contract? Are you good with that? Are you good with them having no ATV and motorcycle clauses?
I am good with whatever the two of them agree with. I mean, that's between them, and it's different for every player. It's of course, there are rules for everyone collectively, but stuff like that, that's between the individual player, his agent, and the team. I mean, so whatever they decide, the two of them agreed on it. Whether I agree with it or not doesn't matter.
So
it's what they agreed on.
Let me rephrase this then. I spent a year of my life as a risk assessment agent for an insurance company. Okay? This was many moons ago in a different lifetime. Spent a year of my life as a risk assessment agent. And my job was to go to workplaces, and was to effectively walk around with a camera and a tape recorder and a notepad. And my job was to look around your place of employment and say, that's a hazard, somebody could get hurt doing that, this could hurt somebody, whatever. And my job was to take notes, send it to the insurance company. The insurance company would write up a report. They would send it back to the place that I did this at, and they would make suggestions to the company. Hey, if you change this, if you decrease the angle of that ramp, or you move that staircase over this many feet, we can lower your insurance premiums, right? We can charge you less for insurance, because the likelihood that someone gets injured at your place of employment drops dramatically, which means the chance that you ever get sued drops dramatically, which means the likelihood we have to pay out a lawsuit drops dramatically, so we can charge you less. It is never a bad idea to decrease the likelihood of a guy getting hurt. I understand it's his job. Texter said, Rob, where'd that text go? The only reason this is in question, even with not being able to win the game, is that Godwin got hurt. No different than if he gets hurt on play 2. Yes, there is. You aren't lost in play 2. The game's not over. This game was over. It is about risk assessment and management. This team cannot win without Evans and Godwin. You can win with Evans or Godwin.
All right, I'm gonna kill this argument right here. The Panthers can't win before they go out on the field, but they go out and play.
There is a point to that, though. I don't disagree, but there's a point to that. And the point to that is this team has a bunch of dudes that can get better and can develop for a team that is going to make a run next year. Okay? Can make a run next year. You know what Tampa Bay is capable of doing? Winning the division this year. They can win now. There is a difference between a team that is won and everything else, that knows that there is no chance of postseason appearance. Zero. None, not a nil. There is no making the playoffs for this Carolina Panther team. So they are playing to achieve objectives in 2025. We know that already. That's established as fact. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers can win the division this year. They can go to the playoffs this year. They can make a run this year. You know what they can't do? Win without Evans and Godwin. Again, I think you can win with just Evans, and I think you can win with just Godwin. I don't think you can win without Evans and Godwin. And now both of those guys are shelved. The Evans thing, nothing you can do about it. Hamstring injuries, they happen. The Godwin injury was entirely unnecessary. So the fact that what happened is the reason that argument is wrong. Because if Godwin's not out there, he can't could he get hurt by stubbing his toe on the wall and getting gangrene? Sure. Could he get hurt by sitting down in front of his locker, missing the stool, falling backward, and breaking his coccyx bone? Yes, that could happen. But realistically speaking, those aren't realistic. You know how a guy can get hurt? Playing football unnecessarily in a game that is over and cannot be won. It is a 0.000. There's no 0.01% miracle chance. Maybe we have 11 laterals and we come back and the kicker does whatever. That's off the table. You can't win this game. 0.0% chance. And if Godwin's on the bench, do you know what happens with Tampa next week? At least Chris Godwin's playing. At least Chris Godwin's out there. This is an organizational failure. The fact that nobody said, hey, Todd, it's a special teams coordinator. Just as I don't know why. That's not how those radios work, but not the point. Hey, Todd, it's your special teams coordinator. We just want you to know that we've already kicked 2 onside kicks. We can't kick another one. So you may want to, I don't know why I did it there. It's not. You may want to pull Chris. You may want to pull Chris.
I just think all that's irrelevant.
How is it irrelevant?
It's irrelevant.
You just lost your best wide receiver.
Yep. And it's his job to go out there. He was out there doing his job. He got hurt. It sucks. Everything you said was eloquent. The way you slipped in Cossack's bone, which I can't say.
Thank you.
It was eloquent. But in the end, it's your job, man. Do your job.
Yeah, I don't know. If we came in here, Zoe, and one day Captain America,
you're not going to convince me.
I'm going to try anyway.
And there are other people out there. You're not going to convince them either.
Just so we're clear. If you and I are doing the show and Chris Evans, Captain America down the hall, opens his door and he goes, hey, the tower fell down and Al Gore's internet is broken. You guys are broadcasting to literally no one. Literally no one can hear you. Would you sit here and do a show with me because it's your job? No. You go, well, this is dumb. This is pointless.
First of all, absolutely I would, because it's a lot of fun.
No, you
days.
You would just talk to me, but you wouldn't do a show. Right. We'd just hang out because we're buddies.
I mean, come on, dude. Come on. If the tower fell, it would probably fall on us and we'd be dead. That's a big tower.
Dude,
if it doesn't fall on us, it's falling on 385, and there's a major problem.
Well, here's what I know. What I know is if I was Todd Bowles, I'd have Chris Godwin available next week. If you were Todd Bowles, you wouldn't. And I will take my team with Chris Godwin over your team without him. I don't know how the argument goes any further than that. My hypothetical team has Chris Godwin next week, and yours doesn't. Who's better? Mine by default.
Okay. All right. Whatever. You going to introduce it or are you just going to point?
Sports Flash!
Kyler Murray threw and ran for touchdowns last night as Arizona kicked a walk-off field goal to beat the Chargers. You'll hurt yourself. 17-15. James Conner ran for 101 yards and Greg Dortch caught 1 touchdown in the win, while Justin Herbert had 349 passing yards, but was unable to find the end zone. Arizona moves to 3-4, while the Chargers are 3-3. After putting up 5 touchdown passes and rushing for another, Lamar Jackson is rocketed to the top of the NFL's MVP, according to betting odds. And in the end, what's the matter? I don't know. Jackson has won the award twice and would become the youngest ever 3-time winner if he was to take home the award, which is still pretty cool. Tune in this Friday at 7 p.m. as the Burns Rebels head to Spartanburg to take on the Vikings. It's Burns versus Spartanburg right here on your home for Burns Rebels football, the Fan Upstate.
Hang on, I'm going to answer that question when I come back, Frank. Give me 45 seconds. All right. So, in an NBA game, should starters play in a 30-point same situation? No, if there are 30, if I am down 30 and there's like 2 minutes, 3 minutes left to play, yeah, put in your backups. That's why they're there. It's I can't understand the situation.
Was the starting guard playing?
Was the starting guard playing?
For Tampa Bay?
No, I would have pulled every one of my starters. Baker would have been on the bench. All 5 offensive linemen would have been on the bench. Cade would have been on the bench.
It's a good way to lose the team.
You've already lost the game. You can't win.
It's a good way to lose the team.
Guys, you have a 0% chance of winning. The only thing that can come from that is you're unnecessarily tired because you played snaps you didn't need to play. And 2, you get hurt. I don't need guys on my. We are capable of winning this division right now.
There's also individual contracts, which may say if you have this many catches, you get this kind of bonus. You get this kind of bonus if you do this thing, and you don't want to be off the field because you lose money.
If we in a spot to win a division title are in a game that could dictate whether we want to lose a division title, and the only thing you're thinking about is money, could you imagine if a Chief came out and said, I don't really care if we win this game, I need my bonus? You'd want his ass off the team in a heartbeat.
It wouldn't matter what I want. I've heard this argument so many times for so many years. It's never convinced me. Otherwise, I don't get it. I don't get the argument. Do your job.
Do your job, even if there is a 0.00% chance of success. You cannot succeed. It is an impossibility.
I've been on some pretty bad shows before. And not this one, but I've been on some pretty bad shows. But I did my job, even though there's no chance we're going to win anything, including the ratings. I mean, but my job was to go in and do the job, and so I did it. I didn't go, hey, program director, this is bad, man. We just why should I be working on this? I just do your job.
I don't.
And by the way, it's not that hard to win the South. You can win the South by winning 2 more games. I mean, that's how it's been for the past decade. 7 or 8 wins will win the South. QC in the next break.
Here we go into our numero dos. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo with you on a Tuesday morning. We're going to get to the water cooler cheat sheet here in just a moment from right now. But I gotta jump back on this discussion about Chris Godwin and the Buccaneers from last night. Because I got a couple of texts during the break, got a couple of chats in our live stream, which you can join, by the way, facebook.com/thefanupstate, the Fan Upstate on YouTube, or the Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Join our live stream every morning, all 4 hours of the show, live and in living color with the great one and I. Not only can you hear the sultry, seductive voices, but you can gaze upon the raw, unbridled handsome that is the dynamic duo that make up the morning drive show here on the Fan Upstate. Tracy said in the chat just a minute ago, and I want to make sure that I get this right. Safety means getting no work is getting done. They get paid millions, so they play. I work hurt for a lot more. I've done a lot of things at work that have a 0% chance of success, but sometimes that's what the paycheck requires. Let me be very clear. If your manager or boss or whatever says, go do this thing, that literally, not metaphorically, has a 0% chance of success. Literally cannot succeed.
I can bring up some corporate things, but I'm not going to. That literally had no chance to succeed.
I don't disagree. But see, here's the difference. And this is something that I need you guys to snap the mindset of. You, with the exception of a few of you, and this is where Rob Brown's going to be the bad guy. All right, here's the heel turn for the day.
Can't turn your already.
Okay, fine. Here's the heel elevation. This is where Razor Ramon takes a beer to the head and then just slicks the hair back and looks even cooler than he did before. All right, that's where I'm going. You are replaceable. Most every one of us, and I'm including myself in this, all right? I'm very replaceable. I've asked this question many times to my friends. How many of y'all would take my job in a heartbeat? The answer is most of you. Most of you would take my job in a heartbeat. I am ridiculously replaceable. It's just a fact, okay? And so when corporate hands me something down the pipe that I think is dumb and I think has a 0% chance of success, it cannot succeed, yeah, I still got to do it. Because if I don't do it, my ass is replaced. Do you know how many true, genuine starting caliber wide receivers there are? About 32. About 32. You don't just go from Chris Godwin to the next Chris Godwin. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. That's how you end up with a guy named Bub Means as your starting wide receiver.
By the way, Chris Godwin is good, but he's not elite. And so, yeah, he could be replaced with someone equal. Maybe someone sitting at home right now.
You're absolutely wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Chris Godwin is I'll say top, for the sake of the argument, let's say top 50 wide receiver. Let's say 50. That means on planet Earth, there are 50 guys that can do what Chris Godwin can do. That's why they make lots of millions of dollars. Okay? That's just how it is. So you are when I get something from corporate, my coach, and they say, do this. And I go, I know this market better than you. I live here. I work here. I know that this will not succeed in this market. I do it anyway because they can come in here and go, all right, good job, Rob Brown. Your pink slip to get the hell out. And they can replace me. Exactly. Your job is not an NFL player. Okay? I'm sorry. It is a hard reality to accept, but the overwhelming majority of you are easily replaceable. You just are. This is the argument of why don't we pay teachers like we pay NFL? You want the real answer? 2 reasons. Number 1, the public doesn't care about teachers like they do about football. That's why there is no astrophysics lectures that get 11 million viewers at 9:00 on a Monday night. The public doesn't care. And number 2, I got like 15 family members that are teachers. You know how many NFL players I'm related to? And I got a big ass family. I'm Irish Catholic from Louisiana. I got a lot of cousins, dude. You know how many I got that are NFL players? 0. None. Not one.
You have to explain to me later why that means.
Because the Irish Catholics breed like rabbits.
Okay.
All right.
All right. No, just you know.
The ladies in Cajun Creole, Louisiana, Irish Catholic families, they don't get a lot of sleep, if you get my drift.
That sort of thing can get you canceled.
They don't get a lot of sleep. I'm one of them. All right. So Texas said, literally every single job I've ever worked, maybe do stuff that made
ladies that.
Yes, Alonzo.
No, that's how you just said that.
I am related to a bunch of Irish Catholic women who don't get a lot of sleep.
Okay.
All right. That's what I'm saying.
Just clarification.
Texas said, literally every single job I've ever worked, maybe do stuff that made 0 sense and had 0% success rate and hurt more than it helped. Okay. Let me respond once again. Texter, I'm not saying this is true, but I'd be willing to bet on it. What you do, I bet there's a lot more people can do than what Chris Godwin can do.
All right. So there's this thing sometimes when I think you're very closed. Can you at least look at the other side, look at me and all these other people who are chiming in and understand why we have the point of view that we do?
No, I cannot.
See, that's a problem.
I accept that you believe what you believe because you got a super positive work ethic and it's your job. And that's great. That's not good when you are replaceable, easily replaceable. Scratch that. Let me rephrase that. It's great when you're easily replaceable. Because here's the thing, great one. And I'm going to say something that's going to be real mean and it's going to hurt your feelings that I don't mean it to.
Well, that's like every 5 minutes.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. If Lonzo tomorrow says, I'm retired, which he's not because Lonzo's got a great work ethic, all right? And he loves me. If you said tomorrow.
If I had the money, I'd retire this moment. But, I ain't never going to have that money.
If you said tomorrow, I quit, I retire, I'm out, I'm done. The show still happens, right? The show still happens. And I can bet you that our parent company would have a new butt in that chair in 2 days. They would have somebody in here. They would find somebody. Same on my side of the board. If I said tomorrow, bleep this, I'm out. I ain't doing this crap no more. I'm done. I'm gone. I'm out. There's a new host in this chair in a week. In a week, I'm easily replaceable. Now, could you argue the show would suffer?
We just turn on the.
You could go to the Bird. Absolutely.
That's exactly what would happen.
Sure, you can go to the Bird
for a while because we have backups.
Right.
Yeah.
If theoretically one of us is to walk, we're replaced that fast. All right. Chris Godwin ain't. He ain't replaced like that. And in a spot where this team is fighting for a divisional championship and a postseason berth, and they are very fighting for it, to lose your number 2 wide receiver to a game you can't win is a stupid decision. It's a dumb decision. Now, if an onside kick is on the table, if they had one onside kick left, I'm not having this conversation today. Okay? If they can onside kick and still win the game, score a touchdown, get the onside kick, score again, I'm not saying anything today. That's the right play.
Whatever. It's 2. I pushed it, but it didn't take. Does anyone agree with you?
There's no chance 0% people do. And even if they do, I'm still right. I'm still right. See, because what you guys do is look at NFL players as if they're the same as you. Actually, what you do is look at NFL players as if you're the same as them. You're not.
Here's the thing.
No, none of you.
They are the same.
No, they're
in
not.
one instance. Yes, they are.
In what instance?
They're employees.
Great.
Right.
Great. Phenomenal.
Yes.
And what did the Tampa Bay Buccaneers benefit last night? What was the benefit of that?
The guy went out and did his job.
What's the benefit?
Go ask him.
What's the benefit?
Go ask him. Would he rather be sitting than be out there?
Lonzo, do you think for a second, if that cost Chris Godwin his season, which it very well may have, if he is done for the year, and you could go ask Chris Godwin, Chris, do you wish you were on the bench for that play? You think he'd go, no, perfectly happy to sacrifice my season, my ankle, and potentially, not saying this is the case, but potentially my ability to ever be the same wide receiver. I'm glad I sacrificed that for a meaningless play in a game we could not win.
All right, so this is a case.
Answer my question.
This is
do you think he'd want that play back?
I'm going to. I still don't know why you're yelling. This is a case of you overthinking. If you ask him, he'll say, yeah, I want to be out there every single time.
That's stupid.
Okay.
That's a dumb philosophy.
All right, but that's what players do. That's what they say. That's what they do.
I'll draw another metaphor, another analogy, another comparison. Texter said there is no limit on onside kicks as long as it's in the fourth quarter. Incorrect, Texter. The NFL rules state, the new rules state you have 2 onside kicks a game. And they must be in the fourth quarter, but you get 2 per game. They had already exhausted theirs. They can't win. So, one of my jobs here at the Fan Upstate is to create brand awareness, is to be out in the public wearing the logo and shaking hands and kissing babies and expanding awareness of the Rob Brown Show and of the Fan Upstate. That is part of the reason that if you come to hockey games, you'll see Rob Brown with the mic down on the ice hyping the crowd because they put my name up on the video board. And at the end of the game, when I interview the first star of the game, I get to say, hey, by the way, we're going to talk about this game coming up Monday on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right? Brand awareness. This is why I go to soccer games and I'm the Delta Bravo with my own name on the back of my jersey. Why? Because I want people to see that and go, what's that all about? Check brand awareness. But
I'm not being mean about this, but I can't find anywhere where it says you only get 2 attempts. And I'm looking all over the place.
I'll go pull it.
And
for you.
everything says just in the fourth quarter. So you have to declare in the fourth quarter.
You have to declare. I will go pull it for you. But all of that being said, if and my job is create brand awareness. Let's say I go to a hockey game and the hockey team is down 9-0 with 3 minutes in the third period. That's an unwinnable game. That game cannot be won. All right. No team has ever scored 9 goals in 3 minutes. It can't be done. If I go out there and I grab a mic, and it is part of my job, brand awareness. This is a part of my job that I've had signed off and approved by management is something I'm allowed to do. And I go out there and I am between, a minute and a minute and a half left, screaming, let's go Rabbits, screaming into the mic. And I blow my vocal cord out. And the doctor says 2 weeks vocal rest. You're not allowed to talk. You cannot talk for 2 weeks or you will never be the same. You can't have your voice back. 2 weeks, which means I got to come to the boss and go, yo, I can't do a show for 2 weeks. You think he's going to be happy with me? Or you think he's going to go, why in the world were you screaming, knowing it's detrimental to your job? Why in the world were you screaming into a microphone in a game that you could not win? You couldn't get it done. In what world is this okay? In what world are you? You have now made it harder for us to succeed. Because while we can get somebody else in there, easily replaceable, nobody's going to be able to do the show that we hand selected for this time slot because your skill set works. It's just not going to happen. All right, we're gonna move away from this. We got some more stuff we've got to get into here on the show, including your water cooler cheat sheet, which is now one segment. When we come back, it's the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories you need to know, including a look at last night's Monday Night Football game. Monday Night Football games. There were 2 of them. What was the second one? Where was the Arizona game?
It was on Plus.
I kept trying to go to the multi-view, and I couldn't get it. And I'm like, where the hell are they playing? It was on Plus. Well, that's okay. It looks like it was an absolute, not a barn burner. 17-15. We'll break that one down and more when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, one more live when we're back. Stay right there. Well, time for your boy Rob Brown to live a nightmare scenario. There's nothing wrong with being wrong on the radio. It's kind of part of the gig, right? My man Des Howard was getting dunked on all day Sunday because he told the SEC fans there's a new sheriff in town and it's the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah, he's got the excuse though. He played for Michigan. I mean, who listens to those people?
Oh, fair enough. Okay, got that. Rob Brown has an apology to make to all of you because it turns out the 2 onside kick limit was not passed as a rule. And despite the fact that I received it yesterday from multiple voices, and I should have known because so the way that the show, let me get with this out of the way. I apologize because the 2 onside kick rule is not a rule. It was a proposed rule. It was a considered rule. It was nearly adopted, but it was never adopted. And I do believe that it is important. To me, accountability is important. Acknowledging a mistake, especially when you spread that mistake like wildfire, as I just spent a solid segment doing, is important. I screwed up. It was a proposed rule, but not accepted. The way that the show prep works for me is that I'm watching the football game at night while I'm show prepping the next day until I'm tired and I go to sleep. And I'm not going to lie, I was asleep when the Goblin thing happened last night. But got up this morning, 3:30, 3:45, whatever time it was, started looking through the tweets from the night before. And there were at least 2 or 3 NFL reporters that sent out tweets. Oh, they couldn't have kicked an onside kick. Why are we doing this? Whatever. And it was enough that I assumed, oh, okay, that must be a rule that passed that I did not know about. So I ran with it. Instead of doing what I tell you guys to do, which is verify the information for yourself, I screwed the pooch. I trusted a couple of NFL guys, and I should have known better because when I got to the office and I clicked to open up that sound from Todd Bowles that started this whole conversation, that tweet that one of a big name reporter in the NFL put out there about how they could not have kicked another onside kick, that tweet was deleted. And I was like, oh, I wonder why that is. But I just rolled with it. I didn't circle back around. So I sincerely apologize. I apologize to Todd Bowles. I apologize to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I apologize to Lonzo. And I apologize to you guys for wasting your time. Because, as I said, if they could kick another onside kick, I got no problem with Chris Godwin being out there. Well, they could have. So I don't have any problem with Chris Godwin being out there.
All right, real quick. Shout out to listeners for knowing that, though, and bringing that to our attention. We were both able to go back and look through and find out that you guys were right. And we appreciate that. For you. You keep us accountable. And when we make mistakes, and we do, you let us know about it in a nice way, not in a mean way.
Yeah, no, I got it wrong. I did not verify that information, and I should have. I just trusted a couple of NFL. I think 3 different NFL writers said something about it. All 3 of them have now deleted those tweets. So I sincerely apologize. I wasted your time. That's the worst thing I can do in radio. I was wrong, which is not the worst thing you can do in radio. Being wrong happens to all of us. We're fans too. But I apologize for that. And I will say, with that being said, I apologize to Todd Bowles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Because while it would have taken a small miracle for that game to have been won, there was a possibility that game is won. If Baker pops a tutty on that play that Godwin got hurt and he takes it to the house and he finds pay dirt and now all of a sudden they're down 3, is it a small miracle to recover an onside kick? Yes, it is. Statistically speaking, it doesn't happen. But it is still very much on the table.
We saw it happen in college. South Carolina did it. It was amazing. I just, after what Mahomes and the Chiefs were able to do in 13 seconds, I think all teams are capable of doing that if the situation is correct.
Absolutely. So I sincerely apologize. Not that I was wrong, because that's one thing, but I apologize for being wrong about that, the way that I was wrong. Accountability is important to me. Even if it gets me in trouble, I think it is important to acknowledge that you screwed the pooch, to accept it and move on. So I apologize for that. I based an entire argument around being incorrect about a rule. That's not like an opinion. It wasn't like I was wrong about an opinion. Oh, I think X is going to win, but Y won instead. And I own that. And I do that when that happens as well. But I was wrong about the rule. I was wrong about it having been passed. I went after Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers because of that. And that is my bad. Entirely. Texas said, no, that rule was proposed, but it never passed. So long as it's the fourth quarter and the team is trailing, they have any number of kicks. I could DM you the screenshot of the article. Texter, you were correct. I checked it after that text. You got me. You fixed me, and I apologize for that. So, that game's different if Tampa would have needed, 3 touchdowns late in the game. If it was truly unwinnable, I would. So that we're clear, my thought stays consistent. If the game's unwinnable, if Tampa's down 4 touchdowns with a minute to play, then at that point, I still am right that I wouldn't have that guy out there risking that injury. But in this game, which was a winnable game, again, very small percentage that it could have gotten done, but it was a winnable game. So I apologize to you guys for having that rule incorrect. I apologize to you guys for getting that segment wrong. And I apologize to Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers for calling them a institutional failure, because it wasn't. They had a chance to win. If there's a chance to win, especially when the divisional race is this tight, yeah, you put that guy out there. All right? Said that in the segment. Just so we're clear, that thought was consistent. Said that in the segment. If you got a chance to win that game, that guy goes out there. That reporter in that quote, in that clip that we played for you, asking Todd Bowles about it, that reporter said, don't you have an obligation to protect your players? And the answer is, yeah, sure. Every head coach has an obligation to protect their players. Absolutely. But they also have an obligation to win the football game. And especially an obligation to attempt to win the football game when your team is very much alive. And I would even say going into that game in the driver's seat to win that division and punch a first-round ticket to the NFL playoffs. Todd Bowles absolutely has a responsibility to protect his players, but he has a responsibility to win that game as well. And I got my information from a couple of reporters who were also wrong about it. I didn't verify it. That's my bad. So please accept my apologies for that. And let's move on. I hope. And never bring this up again, right? Right, everybody? Right, everybody? Right? All right. So that being said, no issue with Todd Bowles playing Chris Godwin. He scores a tutty. You get the onside. Maybe you get it. And by the way, down 10 at that point, if I recall correctly, down 10, you only need a touchdown and a field goal in that spot, right? Even if he doesn't score on that drive, if he catches that ball and you're in field goal territory, knock that thing through, then go get the onside kick. In fact, you could even kick it right on that spot, kick it with 1:05 left to play, go get the onside kick with no timeouts. You give yourself a full minute left to play the game. I wouldn't have had a problem with that. I think there's strategies there that are on the floor. So circling back around, because I had the rule wrong, what Todd Bowles did was correct. I have no issue with it. I get it. It is easy to say. If the game was unwinnable, I got a big problem. If the game was unwinnable, I got a problem. The game was winnable. I don't have an issue with it. Todd Bowles has a responsibility to win the game, just like he has a responsibility to protect the players. And I would say even winning the game might even be a bigger responsibility that Todd Bowles has. All right. We put that to bed. My bad, y'all. My apologies to you. Trying to take accountability for that. Let's do this. Let's run to a break. When we come back here in a minute, now we'll do your water cooler cheat sheet. Now we'll get you the top 3 sports stories that you need to, which is fitting. You got to be in the office in half an hour, right? It's almost time. So when we come back, the top 3 sports stories in sports, and that's next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. buddy, Steven. You good buddy. You're being stabbed internally. That's rough.
Yep, that'll do it.
Yeah. I would freaking say so. It is indeed the 3-time South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the year. It is the Rob Brown Show, Rob and Lonzo, as we roll through the 7 o'clock hour here on an Upstate Tuesday AM. You have now about 24 minutes till you got to get to the office. You're going to sit in that chair. You're going to pop off those emails you don't want to pop off. By the way, do me a favor. Verify the information that you are reporting to your boss. All right. That's just a little friendly advice from a guy who has never, ever gotten information wrong on the radio. Never done it before. All right. So verify that information, but also verify that you're in your chair in 24 minutes. Do your 7 to 11 minutes of work. Get up and walk down the hall. Go find Jonathan down there in PR. John's a good dude. Jonathan likes to talk. Big Packers fan is Jonathan. Walk down the hallway, grab Jonathan, talk a little footy with him. And if you're going to talk football or basketball, baseball, whatever, with Jonathan, you're going to need to know what's going on so you don't look like an idiot on a radio show. I mean, in your conversation by the water cooler, which is why Lonzo and I do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
Shut the hell up.
even before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go.
Welcome to the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It's the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, the top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports with your coworkers. This AM, let us dive right in with item number 1. A pair of Monday Night Football games going down last night. We kicked it off early with the Ravens and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, despite an effort at a comeback in that contest. 21 points in the fourth quarter scored by the Buccaneers. Too little, too late. 41-31. The Ravens improved to 5-2. Lamar Jackson still with just 1 loss against NFC opponents during his time as the QB of the Ravens. Had a stellar night last night. 17 of 22, 281 passing yards, 5 tutties through the air for a QBR of 158. He also ran 9 times for 52 yards as well. Derrick Henry, 15 carries, 169 yards on the night, 11.3 yards per carry last night for King Henry. Through the air, Rashad Bateman had a $121 and a tutty. Justice Hill had 44 yards on 3 catches and a tutty. Mark Andrews, the tight end. Y'all been hating on Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews said, Bake, I'm still your buddy, but I'm going to send you home sad tonight. 4 grabs, 41 yards, 2 tutties for him. Derrick Henry also had a receiving touchdown last night, which saved all the Derrick Henry anytime touchdown bettors like me. Last night, over on the Tampa side of things, Baker Mayfield, 370 yards, 3 touchdowns. Did have 2 picks, though. The 2 picks were real bad. The touchdowns were all great touchdowns. In fact, Baker should have had 1 more because, granted, it was because his hammy popped in the middle of it. But he hit Evans in the hands for what should have been touchdown pass number 4. I'll go this far, Lonzo. Baker Mayfield was on par with Lamar Jackson last night in terms of running the ball, in terms of throwing the ball. Just had a couple of spots where things went wrong. There was 1 real bad pick where he threw it into traffic. There's nothing I love more, by the way, than Peyton Manning getting frustrated during the Manning cast at quarterbacks who aren't Peyton Manning. That's pretty spectacular. Bake had a couple of mistakes, but he had a couple of real good throws too. Probably could have had one more touchdown, maybe 2 passes on the night last night. Either way, Baltimore knocking off Tampa Bay 41-31 over on the other Monday Night Football contest of the evening. 17-15, Kyler Murray takes his Arizona Cardinals to 3-4, knocks the LA Chargers down to 3-3. Murray was 14 of 26 for $145, a tutty and a pick last night. But he also ran 6 times for 64 yards, including a 44-yard touchdown scramble off the left-hand side. And I'm going to say this, as many times as we've made the joke, and it's not a joke because it's true, that Kyler Murray looks like a toddler running away with his mom's cell phone in his hands. He runs away like a very fast toddler with his mom's cell phone in his hands. That 44-yard scamper, including a little duck, dive, dip, dodge underneath a Charger defender to score, was impressive. Kyler led the team down the field late in the contest to kick the walk-off game-winning field goal. Justin Herbert, 349 passing yards in this contest, but could not find the end zone through the air. J.K. Dobbins held to 40 rushing yards. The Chargers had only 59 rushing yards last night when it was all said and done. However, the split, 39 passes, 22 carries for a Jim Harbaugh-led team that Jim said, we're going to run, we're going to run, we're going to run. They forgot to last night, forgot this was a running team last night, and it ended up costing them. Let's go on to item number 2. Less than a full day after crowning their 2024 WNBA champions, the New York Liberty, WNBA players yesterday announced that they were opting out of their current collective bargaining agreement and face the prospect of a work stoppage. They are giving themselves just a tick over a year to reach a new collective bargaining agreement with the WNBA. The elected members of the WNBA PA announced that players are seeking, quote, a business model that reflects their true value, encompassing higher salaries, enhanced professional working conditions, expanded health benefits, and crucial investments needed for long-term growth, end quote. This is a tough spot for me. It's a tough spot for me because on one hand, I am a WNBA fan. I do watch the W. I have favorite players. As a matter of fact, now that Take Top Thursday is in the rotation here on the Rob Brown Show, Rob Brown's Caitlin Clark jersey will be here sometime in the next 2 weeks. The red Indiana Fever jersey will be making its debut on the show sometime in the next few weeks, and I'm very excited about that. On the flip side, I also understand the revenue's not there. The WNBA is a money loser that is subsidized by the NBA, whether you are pro women's sports or not. And I obviously very am. It is still important to recognize where growth is and needs to come from. The WNBA is still subsidized by the NBA. It is still paid for by the NBA. So I do believe that there are aspects of it that need to be fixed up. Angel Reese the other day said that her $80,000+ a year salary doesn't cover her rent. And I will say this, she lives in Chicago. That's where she got drafted to play. I get it, right? It's hard for me to be like, oh, it's not great. But Chicago is a very expensive place to live. All right, it just is. So on one hand, I'm like, you're not an NBA player, all right? Like you're not drawing LeBron money. You're not drawing Steph Curry money. On the flip side, I go, $80K when the Sky are filling up that arena kind of feels low. Kind of feels a little low. So it's a weird spot, but what I am interested in is to see how this CBA plays out, and this is more dramatic than anything. I'm not saying I'm picking a side. I'm picking the side of I'm interested to see how the drama plays out. I am interested in seeing if the WNBA in the new CBA, where these women do indeed, this is indisputable. These women have more eyes on the product than they have in the history of the product. These women have more people watching than they have in history. And you can call it the Caitlin Clark effect. You can say that the league as a whole is better than it's ever been, and I do believe that it is. But at the end of the day, it is still subsidized. And I do wonder if the WNBA will utilize that as a bargaining chip down the line. Listen, you are getting more attention than ever before. There is more money than there has been in years gone by. but let's also not pretend like you guys are driving revenue to the league in record numbers. I mean, you are, but it's still a subsidized league. I'm just intrigued to see how this plays out. And more importantly, I'm intrigued to see what it does for women's sports as a whole.
All right. So an apartment in Chicago runs between $1,737 and $2,630 per month. So I think on the high end, you're spending what, $30,000 a year for rent. That still leaves her $50,000 to live on.
As somebody,
and that's if she and the higher end is if you have like 3-bedroom. A 1-bedroom or a studio is only 17.
I don't know.
I say only, but that's still a lot of money.
I don't know how Chicago stacks up to New York City. What I can tell you is that as somebody who was in my past very close to moving to New York City at one point, like was apartment hunting in New York City, I will tell you, great one, that $2,200 in New York City, I'm not exaggerating, $2,200 in New York City gets you a full apartment that's not the size of this studio. And it's in a building that was built in the early 1900s. Okay. So I don't know if Chicago's close enough. And I'm not defending Angel Reese or saying she's right or wrong. What I'm saying is if Chicago is comparable to New York City, I can tell you for a fact, and this was in 2017, 16, 17, I can tell you $2,200 in New York City gets you an apartment that's not the size of the room that way. That's your whole apartment. That's your entire life. That's not the size of this room. Right? I would have to say, when I was planning on moving there, when I was working on moving there, I literally was planning on having to sell everything that I owned with the exception of my bed, my TV, and my Xbox because I didn't have room for it anywhere. Everything else I owned was going. I was going to have to hang a bicycle from the roof of my apartment because that's what I was going to be able to own. I'm not saying that she's right or wrong. I'm simply saying $80K in Chicago ain't that much money. It's not. It's the equivalent of like $40K here. All right. Is it livable? Absolutely. It's absolutely livable. Is it comfortable? No, not really. Not really.
I'm guessing travel and everything is taken care of by the team.
100%. So I'm not saying that it's $80K and she's got to pay for all. Her food's taken care of by the Sky. Her travel's taken care of by the Sky. If she wants it, she could get an endorsement right now from Buick for a lacrosse to drive around or whatever. I promise you, Angel Reese has got advantages in her life that you and I don't have. I am saying with the genuinely increased attention in the WA this year, but also the fact that it is still a subsidized league, I'm interested to see what the WNBA says to defend their position in their CBA negotiations. They have until October 31st of next year to reach a new collectively bargained agreement, or the WNBA will face a shutdown. And I will tell you at a point in time where the trajectory for publicity for this league is higher than it has ever been in the 27 years of its existence. Now is not a great time for the league to shutter its doors, because what attention you have gained with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and Cameron Brink and Rakia Jackson and all these players that are coming out of college and bringing their eyeballs to the WNBA. If you shut down now over that, a lot of that attention is going to be like it was in baseball in the 90s. People will walk away and a lot of them won't come back. So I'm intrigued to see how that plays out. All right, very quickly, let's get to item number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the moment you have been waiting for has arrived. That is right, my friends. Speaking of shooty hoops, the NBA is back. Baby, 2 games on the slate tonight at 7:30. A battle that I believe you will see again at the end of the year. A battle that I believe is an early season preview of what will turn into your Eastern Conference Championship. The New York Knickerbockers are on the road tonight down in Beantown, taking on the Boston Celtics at Boston. That game is 7:30 tonight on TNT. Then we head out to Los Angeles, California, where the Minnesota Timberwolves are on the road. LeBron and Bronny playing their first game as teammates. The Lakers host the Timberwolves tonight at 10 p.m. Boston 5.5-point favorites this evening against New York. The Timberwolves are -1.5 tonight against the LA Lakers. I'm intrigued in this game, Lonzo, because I wonder I wonder what the evolution of the Lakers is going to look like all season long. And I wonder if they force the Bron and Bronny thing early tonight. I will tell you this. I've been trying the last week and a half to be in at least in the bed at 10 p.m. Right? Like, and I only got the little TV in the bedroom. I try to be in the bed at 10. I'll have the Monday Night Football game on or whatever, but I try to be like forcing myself to go to sleep earlier. I'm probably staying up to watch the Laker game tonight, just because I'm curious as to what the chemistry and the game plan is with Bron and Bronny out of the gate.
I think to get him in fairly early, probably in the second quarter, and then maybe he doesn't play again.
We're gonna find out. What if this game is a 2-point? Minnesota's a 2.5 point dog tonight at home to Minnesota. What if this is a 1 point game with 5 to play in the fourth quarter? Does JJ force Bronny in? Does Bron force Bronny in? Does Bron say, no, you get Austin Reeves' ass out here, I'm trying to win this game? Like, how does that work?
I will believe what people think's going to happen when I see it. I don't think they're going to force him at all. I think he's going to play the normal amounts that a rookie would, and maybe a little bit more at first just because of visibility. But after that, I think he'll have to earn his play. I do not think they force him.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, there's your water cooler cheat sheet, top 3 sports stories you need to know. Texter said, the first 2 hours of my job are absolutely bull-hitting about work. That's pretty spectacular, Tex. I appreciate that. Texter should be called the Caitlin Clark agreement because that's why they're doing it. Yeah, I mean, listen, you can call it, like I said, the Caitlin Clark effect, agreement, whatever you want to call it.
It's a mistake doing this now. It really is. Wait for another year and then do it. But you do it now, you're gonna lose a bunch of people that you just got.
If there's a stoppage, it'll be if they can negotiate, because again, revenue is up. It's still subsidized, but it is up. And so the question mark is how if the NBA is willing to subsidize the NBA to make it work, and these women are playing this game. And they are more than ever before. Not every team, but the Sky are filling up there. Indiana is having to move their games to NBA stadiums.
Unless they're afraid that the newness will wear off next year. And a bunch of those people they got because people wanted to see Caitlin Clark play will be like, yeah, we've seen her play now. And it drops off.
Yeah.
If you're afraid of that, then I get why you try to do it now.
That is why I'm interested, because I'm interested to how does the WNBA promote itself, but also say, guys, you're not making LeBron money. You're not doing what LeBron's doing. You can't get paid like that yet, right? Grow the game. Continue to grow the game. The game's been growing for 27 years, and it is better than 4. Texter said, I have not watched a single WNBA game ever. Okay, would you like a cookie? Congratulations. Then this conversation isn't something you care about. I get it, but like, good for you.
I've watched bits.
I'll never understand that.
I've watched bits and pieces of it. It's not. I mean, it doesn't interest me that much, but because it's on the show, I will watch a little bit more than normal because you're going to talk about it.
It is a different game than the NBA, but the guys who play NBAs are absolutely freak athletes. I don't know how to tell you this. It's like watching college to NFL ball. College football is dramatically subpar compared to the NFL. That's not why you watch it, is it? Nobody watches college football to see the best football can be played, because that's not the best football can be played.
Everybody mad today.
I don't care. I've decided to be the bad guy today. All right. I don't care if you've never watched a WNBA game. Okay. Okay. Treat yourself. Congratulations. That's wonderful. You're not everyone. You're a person. And no, it's not as good as the NBA, but that's not the point of watching it. It's not to watch to see. If you want NBA basketball, watch the NBA. Just like if I want the best version of football, I'm watching NFL Sunday, not college football Saturday. That's not why I watch Saturdays. That's not why I love Saturdays. Texas said WNBA lost $40 million this year. Go ahead and strike players. I dare you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I as a WNBA fan, I still think they might want to be real careful about how they negotiate this deal. Texas said, I live near Chicago. My sister lives right outside of Chicago, and it's not nearly as expensive as New York, but $80,000 is nothing to live on. Yeah, $80,000 like making $40K here. Can it be done? Yes. Is it comfortable? Depends on your definition of comfort, I guess.
Well, here's the thing. So if you, Rob Brown, are working a job and you're not making enough money, do you not quit that job and go find a better job? I don't know that you can, but I mean, She went to college. So,
Again.
I mean, she probably has a degree.
I mean, maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. Again, that is why I, despite being a WNBA fan, I'm not coming out like, yeah, you go, girls, because I don't know that this is a good idea or not, to be honest with you. We'll find out. All right, let's run to a break. When we come back here in a minute, your audio blitz, the audio we found yesterday. That's after Lonzo gives you the best audio you'll hear today, the Sports Flash.
Yeah, it was never a good idea to have me do this, period. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose 2 in their 41-31 loss to the Baltimore Ravens last night. Mike Evans left the game early with a hamstring injury, and Chris Godwin dislocated an ankle with just over a minute left to play. Baker Mayfield threw for 370 yards, 3 touchdowns, but had 2 interceptions, while Lamar Jackson had 281 yards and 5 passing touchdowns, as well as 52 rushing yards. Kyler Murray threw and ran for touchdowns last night as Arizona kicked a walk-off field goal to beat the Chargers 17-15. James Conner ran for 101 yards, and Greg Dortch caught 1 touchdown in the win, while Justin Herbert had 349 passing yards but was unable to find the end zone. Make sure you tune in this Friday at 7 p.m. as the Burns Rebels head to Spartanburg to take on the Vikings. It's Burns versus Spartanburg right here on your home for Burns Rebels football, The Fan, Upstate. Crush game.
Never gonna give you up.
Yeah, it's a contract thing because they're getting ready to leave USA. So that's why. So USA is just giving them the bare minimum because they're moving to Netflix at the end of the year. It does make it seem rushed.
It does.
Talking about WWE.
Did it go
talking about
last
Monday
night?
Night Raw.
It didn't go last night, did it?
I've only watched like the first little bit of it. I was watching football last night. I made it to the end of the segment I think you're watching right now this morning.
Cam Newton with the W take.
All right, Mike, did you just want us to say your name? I mean, I don't know.
Mike Jones.
Say my name. Say my name. I don't know. I don't know if he knows the reference because he didn't get it.
Yeah, dude. So Mike Jones was a rapper back in the day. He had a song where literally just went, Mike Jones.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's a hip hop reference.
Yeah. I was back in the OG of, Eazy-E, NWA. My favorite was UTFO. Probably some of you haven't heard of them before. But the Freaks indeed do come out at night. So
Good morning, indeed. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. Back half of the show, third quarter underway right here on the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the Great Alonzo with you. Want to be a part of the show? 844-326-3663. That's the number to the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone, 844-FANFONE. Text us, 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. We will read them on the air. You can tweet me at The Rob Brown Show. Tweet the great one at Lonzo on Word. Tweet all of us at the Fan Upstate. And, of course, don't forget, the Ray Memorial Hotline is open for you as well. The Ray Memorial Hotline. Go to the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Grab it on all your digital devices. Go to the Fan Upstate page. And once you do, there'll be a little circular microphone button right in the middle of the page. Click on that microphone button and drop us a voice note up to 60 seconds in length that comes right to Lonzo and I. Go to the Odyssey app, go to the Fan Upstate page, click the microphone button, drop that voice note, comes to the Great One and I on the Ray Memorial Hotline.
Maybe you would like to leave a brief eulogy for Ray and the fact that we no longer get Stick to Sports texts.
We still do, just not from Ray.
It's not from Ray. So maybe leave a eulogy for Ray, a 60-second in remembrance.
R.I.P. Ray. We hardly knew ye. All right, let's get to the audio blitz. This is the best audio that we have picked up over the last couple of however long, minutes, hours, days, weeks, whatever. Long as I feel like it's good audio, we roll it with. Let's start with this one. In that Alabama-Tennessee game this weekend, there was a quarterback sneak late in the game. Jalen Milroe went under center, tried to get up across the line of scrimmage, and there was a sideline camera angle that showed on the backside of the play, a play which, by the way, the QB sneak was unsuccessful. Alabama lost the ball on possession. The two split out wide receivers, Lonzo, when the ball was snapped, they stepped back and they both did a jump shot in a football game. They both did a fake jump shot. The Bama fans who said that bleep would never fly under Nick Saban were real hot under the collar about it. Offensive coordinator Nick Sheridan got asked about it.
Allen's fourth down sneak towards the end of the first half. The TV broadcast showed Ryan and Jeremy pretending to shoot a basketball on the outside of the field. Is that part of the design of the play or just something spontaneous?
Yeah, you're talking about the quarterback sneak. Yeah, there's nothing on the field that we're not coaching. So that's how I answer that.
That's not great, Bob. That's not great. If you're a Bama fan, that's not great. You are telling me, Nick Sheridan, that you coached that? All right, boys, here's what I want. We're going to go with the X43 zip dive right. Your job on this, flank out wide, pull the defenders out wide, and here's what I want you to do. In order to maximize the possibility of the quarterback getting a first down, I want you to simulate a jump shot. If we're keeping it a buck, this doesn't matter if they win the game. Nobody cares if they win the game.
I didn't see this play, but I'm curious, were they in unison or were they? So
yes, synchronized jump shots.
So if they were synchronized, I'm good with it. If one of them was a little bit off, you got laps. Because, I mean, if you're going to practice it, you need to execute in game.
Here's what I know. What I know is the Kalen DeBoer era, which I am absolutely not giving up on, philosophy shifts take a few minutes to institute.
We're going to have fun. We're not going to win as much, but we're going to have fun.
I mean, they've lost 2 games. One of them was to a top 10 team. All right. Like they have one bad loss. They were on the road against an SEC top 10 team. It ain't the worst loss in the world. So
who did they lose to again?
that'd be Vanderbilt.
Okay. All right. All right.
I said one real bad loss.
Yeah, but it, at the end of the year, it may not be. But at the moment, it definitely was.
Oh, and for the record, that loss is probably keeping them out of the playoffs. I'm not saying definitely, but it's probably keeping them out of the playoffs. The Tennessee loss is not a bad
Vanderbilt
loss.
might end up with a better SEC record than Alabama.
I wouldn't go bananas just yet. But we'll see. We'll see. They had a fight against Ball State this weekend. Well, we'll see. But it was also Ball State after back-to-back enormous victories for Vandy at home against Bama and on the road against Kentucky.
Let down a little bit. Maybe not remembering that you're Vanderbilt, but maybe just taking it easy a little bit because you know the road ahead is going to be difficult.
Yeah, sometimes you start to reach down and feel yourself a little bit and changes the way you see the game. All right? We'll see. Cam Newton does his podcast, and it's a good one. I saw a clip the other day that it infuriated me. All right? There was a handshake line between two Pee-wee football leagues. Call them Mighty Mites in hockey, the little dudes, right? Handshake line. And as these kids were walking through the line, great one, they would shake the hand, and the whole team had towels in their left hand. And as they would handshake, they would take the towel and then they would reach around and they would hit the other kid on the backside with the towel. And I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. And I have since learned that is called the belt to ass celebration. All right. Because we just put the belt to ass. These are kids. These are like 6, 7, 8-year-old kids playing football, and their coaches are letting them get away with this. Cam Newton popped off on it.
Now they have another thing here, which I have to give my 2 cents. They have this thing where it's a belt to ass. Kids are literally shaking the opponent's hand at the end of the game, and they're slapping each person with a belt. Coaches, if you allow this, you need your ass beat. Because the truth of the matter is this. That's not sportsmanship. You're antagonizing a person for a very emotional game. We don't want to do anything triggering that's going to put ourselves in harm's way. If somebody had ever put a belt, put a rag, put anything and touched me at the end of the game,
it's really about that.
It's over with. But for the coaches who allow this, if you're doing that and I see you doing it, I'm going to tell you what you're doing. It's lame.
It is lame. It is lame.
Okay, I completely agree with them.
It is lame.
It's not good. Come on.
Yeah.
And why do parents allow the coach to allow that?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you straight
especially
up.
at that level.
I'm gonna tell you straight up. If I was, and I may go back to it at some point, if I was still coaching Little League football, I coach Little League football, I've coached Little League baseball, Little League basketball. I've told you how many times I genuinely believe in my core that Little League sports is a fundamental aspect of us. All right. Even if unless your kid just hates sports, if your kid has any interest in sports, you should let them play Little League sports. Little League sports grows you as a person. It teaches you lessons about teamsmanship, winning with grace, losing with dignity, sportsmanship, individual, striving for individual excellence, et cetera, et cetera. Little League sports matters. But it only matters if you have good coaches and good mentors teaching good lessons, right? When it gets to the point that you are teaching these kids or allowing these kids to act like this in Little League sports, you know, I wouldn't, for the record, I wouldn't feel different if this was a high school team or if this was a college team or if this was a pro team. I'd still think it's disrespectful beyond the game. It is one thing to come up after you lay down a donker or reel off an 80-yard run like Derrick Henry did last night and come up and hit him with the too short or whatever, like that's one thing. But when you get to the point that you are simulating whipping another person, and we are talking about Little League kids, simulated literally whipping another person with a belt over a football game with kids, that bleep is lame, dog.
So they
Common Cam Newton W.
So they didn't actually hit them. They were just
No, they were taking a towel with a
Okay,
towel.
all right.
They would shake your hand and they would reach around behind you and hit these other kids in the rear end with a towel, simulating it was a belt.
There's no way you get away with that in any other level because you do that high school, fists are going to fly. Same in college.
Pardon my language. You do that in any other level, you're getting your ass whipped.
Right.
Flat out.
So Pee-wee is probably the only, because the kids don't get it.
Yeah.
They're like, what? Why are they doing
To them,
that?
it's just like a fun thing that the big dog. And don't get me wrong. I subscribe to the Charles Barkley school of thought. Professional athletes do not parent your kids. It is not their responsibility to act or behave a certain way for the betterment of your kid. It is your job as a parent to do that, all right? And so if Chuck Barkley does something on the basketball court that you think is bad and your kid shouldn't emulate, it's your job as a parent to parent them away from that. It is your job as a coach to coach them away from that. But in a spot like this, if we're going to have athletes acting like that, and I got coaches who allow stuff like this to happen, that's a problem. Cam Newton is spot on accurate with this take. Spot on accurate with this take. All right. I got a couple more I want to run with. This one I just find entertaining as a football guy. There's audio going around of Matt Stafford receiving a play call from Sean McVay. We all know what Sean McVay is, right? Young guy, big offensive mastermind. Matt Stafford and the gang have, I think it was like a 3rd and 1 or something like that. And they have audio from a mic'd up Matt Stafford receiving a play call from Sean McVay.
All right, it's going to be American Exchange, can it? All right, with 3-jet rib, Z Brownie. Oh, easy, listen. 13 duo attempt. Yeah, here it is. Woo! I got it. Please, stop. Yes, please stop. Oh my God, he's still going. Hey, he's still going. Hey, snatch this if you get it, right? I mean, he's still going. You're 1.5 yards from an edge split in the middle. I mean, this is unbelievable what I'm getting right now. Holy boys.
I want you to know that is a 38-second long play call. And there's about 4 seconds cut out of the middle of that clip.
Did they?
That's a 42-second play call.
Did they get the first down?
I don't know. I wanted to go back and find it, but I couldn't find it. I tried to go find it because I just found the clip, but I couldn't find the result.
Did he just like, we're just going to run this?
What I wanted was this. All right, we got an American Express XX split ZY dog left zone read blah 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 blah. I want him to be like, because you can hear him. He's like, please stop. He literally turns to the sideline, looks at Sean McVay, and puts his hand up like, please stop. I got it. Please stop. And McVay just keeps going. I love at the end where he's like, holy boys, because I got 42-second play. Now, here you go. Let's all play a game together real quick. All right. Lonzo, I'm just going to play the first 5 seconds of this clip for you again.
All right, it's going to be American Exchange, can it? All right, with 3-jet rib, Z Brownie.
Repeat that back to me.
American Exchange, can it with 3-jet Z something.
All right, it's going to be American Exchange, can it? All right, with 3-jet rib, Z Brownie.
Pretty close.
I forgot the rib Z Brownie.
Pretty close. That was 5 seconds of a 42-second long play call. I don't even know how that works because their radios aren't on for that long. I don't know how that happened. That's incredible, dude.
But if you hear these plays, I mean, the quarterbacks get it. They do when they hear a lot of these long plays. So in fairness, I mean, I have no idea. I was just repeating what I heard. He probably understands every little thing that's being told.
If I spent the whole off season learning the different spots, like, you know it.
It's like learning a different language.
But that's ridiculous. I like that Stafford looks at McVay and says, please stop. That's incredible. There is more audio from the sideline in the Eagles game in which Saquon Barkley was 13 yards away from his career high rushing total. He was on the bench late in the game. The Eagles up by like all the points because the Giants suck. Sorry, Chris Lewis. Love you, buddy. Giants are real bad at football. Nick Sirianni walked over to Saquon Barkley and asked him if he wanted to push for the career high. Here's how Saquon responded.
You're 13 yards away from your career high. I would love for you to get that, but that's up to you. I just don't want. I'm going to take out all the starters if they don't score.
You good? Let me eat.
You sure?
Yeah, good.
You sure?
I promise.
I'll listen to you. I want you to do it if you want to do it.
So I'd rather see the young boys eat.
That's a teammate, dog. That's a teammate, bro.
Also, he'll get it in the next game. I mean, it's not like,
No. That's single game.
Single
career
game?
high. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
13 yards from a single game rushing high for Saquon Barkley. He needed 13 yards. This is in the fourth quarter. The Giants are up, I think, 28-3 at this point. And Sirianni says, look, if they don't score, I'm going to put in the backups. I'm going to put in the young men. I'm going to put in the young guys to go out there and clean this thing up and get some XP. But If you want those 13 yards, I'll put you back out there with the starters to go get them. I want you to get it if you want it. And Saquon's like, no, dog, let the young men eat.
It's also good that he knows that. I mean, that I'm sure probably someone up in the booth is like, hey, man, he's this close to the record. But, you know, a lot of coaches, I'm guessing, don't ask that. They just put him in there and have him do it.
Yep. I mean, honestly, if I'm Sirianni and I see Saquon, who, by the way, this is at New York, you know, where Saquon just left to go to a divisional rival. They hate him there. 100%. I'm like, Saquon, go get 13, dog. Go get your 13. Go set your career single game rushing record against this team who had fans burning your jersey in the parking lot before kickoff.
So if it's just your career record, I mean, if it was setting a National Football League record, that's different.
It is a single game career high for Saquon Barkley. More yards than he's ever rushed for in a single game.
But that definitely is just about him. If he had a chance to set the NFL record,
then automatically going for it.
Yes.
But I will say for Saquon, and there's a lot of situations where I'm like, I'm not worried about it, right? You'll get more chances. In this one, I'm absolutely going for it. And I'm going for it because it is single game career high against the Giants for Saquon Barkley at their house, right? That's to me. If the Eagles are on the road at the Cardinals, I'm like, all right, dude, whatever. Like, we're going to get you another game like this. But to do it, to have more rushing yards in a game as an Eagle against the Giants than he ever did as a Giant, a Giants team that had Saquon Barkley and found a way to be bad. Yeah, I'm going to let him go get that. 100% I'm going to let him go get that, without a doubt. All right. Last one, Rob Gronkowski, speaking about Baker Mayfield. You want to know why Zoe and I are big fans of Baker? Rob Gronk nails it.
He's kind of like a dude's dude. He's kind of like a dog. He's headbutting. He'd go play paintball with you. He'd go freaking to the bar, pound 6 beers. You name it. Pickleball. I play pickleball with him. He's the ultimate like teammate. He's like an ultimate locker room guy. It's like a guy that, you know, quarterbacks aren't really like this. You know, I feel like he would get in the trenches with you. He's a guy that wants to see you be an absolute dog. He's a guy that's cheering you on. I was breaking some PR records, cheering me on. We were going nuts. He's just hyping me up. I'm hyping him up to break PR records. He's a guy that's not afraid to get dirty. And what I really like about the dude is like he's just a normal dude, man. He just wants to have a good time. He actually signed a 3-year, $100 million deal the morning of. And then he came to the workout session that day. And it was like nothing happened. It was just like he showed up. He didn't have an ego. He didn't have a big head or nothing. Just a normal dude, man. Just a normal dude out there just trying to have a good time.
Love it. That's why I'm a Baker guy.
Yeah, and for the most part, that's what you hear. I mean, they said basically the same thing at Panthers.
Yep.
I mean, all the players loved him.
It's just a dude. He's just an absolute dude. I love it. I love it so much. I lied. One more because I got it and it fits in here and nowhere else. Keegan-Michael Key was on Wes Welker's. That was also on Wes Welker's pod, by the way. Keegan-Michael Key was on Wes Welker's pod, and they were talking about boys amongst men in the football world. And there are 2 guys they singled out, and I love it.
People who I watched in college, you know when you get that man amongst boys feel?
Rob did that in the league.
Yes, you're right. Rob looked like a man amongst boys.
Yes.
It's crazy. Rob would just be 6 guys on him just
bro. I remember running next to Rob, and it sounded like you were next to like a Clydesdale. You could hear his feet hitting the ground because they're so big, and you could feel the weight, and he'd be like giggling, like 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 when a guy would like hit him, he'd like stiff arm him to the ground. He'd be laughing while he was doing
it.
Like, it was literally like a high school kid playing with second graders until the guys figured out to just torpedo in his legs.
That's my favorite. Because I can just hear Gronk taking a shot and going, I love it. I don't know what to tell you. You guys wonder why I'm a Gronk guy. That's why I'm a Gronk guy. Because the kid's a lunatic. Because, by the way, that last one was Gronk talking about Bake. So Bake's that guy too. I'm here for it. Listen, it's about winning. I get it. But sports are fun. And dudes who play sports should be having fun. Give me Team Gronk and Team Baker all day long. You know how much I like Baker? I'm pulling for him, and he's a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. That's how much I like Gronk. I'm pulling for Kirk Cousins, and he's an Atlanta Falcon. That's how much I like these dudes. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, there was an interesting conversation about Patrick Mahomes on the Rich Eisen show, and I'm going to come to the defense of Patrick Mahomes. We'll do that next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
See ya in 20.
All right, guys, we got a long break here, so we are going to step away for, 11 minutes or so?
It won't be that. It'd be like no
That's a
time at
joke.
all.
Be right back. right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you.
New Life next break.
Stand for. So I want to have a conversation in two parts here. And this conversation jump-started from a segment I heard on Rich Eisen's podcast. Rich and his co-host were engaged in a conversation about Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to play this in two parts, and then after the next break, we're going to come back, and I'm going to relate that to something that I think a guy we all consider a successful coach, Nick Saban, had to say that I think was a similar line of conversation. Here's the segment from the Rich Eisen show.
Despite being undefeated, Patrick Mahomes is not a top 10 quarterback right now. He's 14th in yards per attempt.
Okay.
He's 21st in touchdowns.
Got it.
He leads the NFL in interceptions. He's 23rd in passer rating. He's not that good. They're winning in spite of him.
All right, let's take a break right there. For the record, all that is factually correct. All that is factually correct up until he says they're winning in spite of him. That's not right. All the numbers are right. If you just look at it, and you guys know, as Lonzo loves to point out, I am a gigantic dork. And Lonzo frequently tells me,
go outside, nerd.
Because I think numbers matter. And I think that I think stories get told in numbers. Mathematics is, I'm bad at them, but mathematics is a universal language. Statistics matter. However, there is a phrase that I credit my former, well, I guess still colleague, my former comrade, Mark Ryan, with. He coined this term a very long time ago to the fact that Booger McFarland used this phrase on the college football wrap-up show on Saturday, and it went viral. The phrase about statistics is, as Mark Ryan used to say regularly, statistics are like a bikini. They don't show everything, but they're pretty close.
All right. So really quick, I know you're giving the credit to Mark Ryan there, but he and Booger had a show together. Maybe he took it from Booger.
No. Booger straight up acknowledged when he said this on Saturday, I heard this phrase a while back. I promise you that's a Mark Ryanism. And I also know that.
Oh, I know. I heard it 10,000 times.
I'm sure.
So, yeah.
I'm sure. I also know it's a Mark Ryanism because Mark Ryan and I worked together in Florida well before he worked here, and he used to say it back then, too. He's been carrying it.
Yeah, but that was after Booger, right?
No,
it
was well before
Okay,
Booger.
all right, right.
He left.
Just doing research here. That's
he
all.
left destined to go to Tampa to work with Booger. So I was his last co-host before he worked with Booger.
It's also definitely his mindset.
For sure.
That's where he would go.
And for the record,
yeah,
it's actually it's a Mark Ryanism I give him credit for. It's a good one. Statistics are like bikinis. They don't show everything, but they tell a lot of the story, right? Statistics are. He's absolutely right about that. And statistically speaking, Patrick Mahomes is very pedestrian this year. Patrick Mahomes is remarkably mid, statistically speaking. Here's something else I have to point out. You know who Patrick Mahomes' number one wide receiver is this year in the National Football League? Travis Kelce, a tight end. Okay? Do you know where Travis Kelce ranks in yards received this year? 56th in the NFL. You know who his number two wide receiver in terms of yards in receiving is? Xavier Worthy. Do you know where Xavier Worthy ranks in the NFL in terms of receiving yards this year? 86th. So the best two guys he has right now are a tight end who ranks 56th in the league and a rookie speed wideout who ranks 86th. I have said this before and I'll say it again. The wide receiver crew that the Chiefs have placed around Patrick Mahomes, it ain't that good.
All right. Any other team, and if you didn't know who the team was and people told you they're undefeated, the quarterback's not having a good season, the first thing you would ask, do they have a great defense? They do. Do they have a really good running game? They do.
Yes.
I mean, and those things will afford you not having stellar play. Also, yards after catch and things like that. I mean,
I think that, and again,
also one of the best kicking games in the entire league too.
The point that I would make here is, number one, they have built a very well-rounded team. There is no arguing that. It is a very well-rounded team. They have the 10th best run game in the National Football League. Harrison Butker is absolutely a stud with the leg, no doubt about that. And defensively, overall, the Kansas City Chiefs are the 9th ranked defense overall in terms of yards allowed per game. It's a well-rounded team. And they sacrificed because they have Patrick Mahomes. And the Patriots did this too for a very long time. This is a similar trait that the Chiefs and the Patriots under Tom Brady share. They went, this cat at QB is so good. We can sacrifice integrity of the wide receiver core and use the money and the resources that would go into that, and we can spread it around to other points of the football game. We can take some of the money we would have to go get if Patrick Mahomes wasn't Patrick Mahomes and put into a wide receiver core, and we can pay Chris Jones. We can pay that linebacking core. We can take some of the money that we would have to pay if we weren't paying a rookie contract for Xavier Worthy, and we can keep Harrison Butker instead of letting him go to, because another team would pay him to come be their stud. We can pay him that money. We can take that money that we would have to put into a wide receiver core, but because he's Patrick Mahomes, we can put that into improving our defensive backfield this year. And they did that. The Chiefs said, we got to take the strength that we have in Patrick Mahomes and work around that. And the result is that if Patrick Mahomes had A.J. Brown, had Nuke, had any of these wide receivers that are on bad teams and are good receivers, and you put them on the Chiefs, they'd be leading the NFL in passing yards, without a doubt. But the Chiefs figured out what the Patriots did for a very long time. The Patriots, when Tom Brady was Tom Brady, they didn't have to go get one of the best 15 receivers in the NFL. They could save that money and put it elsewhere, and they did it for a long time, which is why Tom Brady had one season with Randy Moss. What did they do? They became the most successful quarterback to wide receiver duo in the history of the NFL when it came to touchdown passes in a single season.
What did they not do?
They won a Super Bowl. How many years has Patrick Mahomes not won a Super Bowl? It's the NFL. You're not winning it every year if you're the GOAT.
2, I think.
The point here is he won 7. All right. And I'm not saying Mahomes won't win 7. What I'm saying is the Chiefs are copying the Patriots model, and it's brilliant. So this argument that, the Chiefs are winning despite Mahomes. No. They're not. They're still winning because of Mahomes, even if the numbers don't reflect that the way that they do for other quarterbacks. The numbers are mid because the talent group around Mahomes ain't that good, and yet he's elevated them to 6-0. Texter said Mahomes is not making critical errors at critical times during the game. Also true. 8 picks for sure. 4 of those are off of tipped balls. 4 of Mahomes' league-leading 8 interceptions are off of tipped balls, because I said to Alonzo earlier, the interior of the Chiefs' offensive line, very good. Your tackles, not very good. And those tip balls by defensive ends when Mahomes is throwing out because he's only got one down the field threat are getting tipped and picked. But they're not in critical times because Mahomes knows that's a weakness and he stays away from it. I'm going to continue this conversation with something that Nick Saban said coming up in the next segment of the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Goodbye.
All right, guys, one more and we're back. Stay right there for me.
a lot. I think Titans had 4 seasons, so he's been around Batman and Robin and all that stuff. Why does it say release date November 16th?
All right, I played you the first part of that clip from the Rich Eisen show about Patrick Mahomes. Now I want to play you Rich's response to that.
You're a moron. With the ultimate of love and respect.
You cannot watch the game and be like,
I can watch the game. I don't like the interceptions.
If he had no name on the back and he was just number guy on Madden, you'd be like, he stinks.
Despite being undefeated, Patrick Mahomes is not a top 10 statistical quarterback right now. You're accurate. But in terms of being a top 10 quarterback, he is outstanding.
They're winning in spite of him.
I disagree. You're 6-0 for a reason, and it isn't just luck, and it isn't just one side of the football
defense
either. What they remind me of your Patriots for all those years, situationally, down to down, snap to snap, quarter to quarter, they are winning when they have to because they are attuned to doing it. Statistically, it is ugly. And once again, you, sir, are seeing the cheese of a Chiefs team that doesn't hang their victories in the football Louvre. It doesn't look pretty. Okay. This guy's a top 10 quarterback.
You believe in facts or you don't.
All right.
That all right was doing a lot of heavy lifting there for Rich. All right.
Yeah, but seeing the cheese and the Louvre and all that stuff, that's why he's Rich Eisen.
Rich is the best. I love Rich, but I as soon as I started listening to this clip, everything Rich said, I was spinning around in my head before we got there. I'm like, yeah, no, obviously, like everything that dude said is correct. Statistically speaking, the numbers for Patrick Mahomes are remarkably mid. But as I pointed out, Mahomes is so good at this point. Mahomes is so good that the Chiefs have been able to do for Mahomes what the Patriots were able to do with Tom Brady. And that is, we're going to give you, because you are this good, we're going to give you okay talent that you work directly with, and we're going to stock everywhere else to be on par with you. And they've done that, and it has been remarkably successful. But I go on one step further and point out something else. As cliche as it might be, Patrick Mahomes is a dude that, despite whatever shortcomings you might believe the Chiefs have, Patrick Mahomes is a guy that just by being Patrick Mahomes is able to kind of keep dudes rallied. I got two clips I want to play for you here. One is from Nick Saban, one is from Dan Lanning, and one is from Mick Cronin, the head coach at UCLA. I want to start with Dan Lanning's quote. Dan Lanning was talking about what his Oregon Ducks team is this year, and he said this.
I've always felt like, your best teams are what I would call player-led teams. And I won't go into details about what it's about, but I walk into a team meeting the other day and Sam, Taki's in the front of the room, Brian Addison's in the front of the room, and they're talking to the team about the things that we got to do better. The coaches aren't in the room. So I think that speaks to the character of the players on our team when they're having those conversations without us in there. And he's done a really good job. And you know what? I think he wants to raise his standard of play. So I think the thing that we want to recognize, sometimes you're afraid to be a leader and you're afraid to say things because you're like, well, I still make mistakes. And the reality is I make mistakes. The coaches make mistakes. The players make mistakes. What we got to do is own them, but still be willing to call people out and get better. And Taki's done a good job of that.
So Dan Lanning says it's a player-led team. And this team is good because it's a player-led team. Said I got guys, I got players up there leading meetings. I got players up there leading meetings when the coaches aren't in the room to make sure everybody's on the same page, calling their teammates out, allowing their teammates to call them out so everybody can get better. That's Patrick Mahomes, right? And you can see that on the football field. Even when he's in his moments, which are occasional, not rare, but occasional, where Patrick Mahomes kind of has that almost petulant feel to him, right? Like he's a bit of a diva. Well, first off, he's the crown jewel of the NFL, so of course he is. And number two, it doesn't matter how he acts if guys respond to it, and they very clearly do. There's a second reason the Chiefs are where the Chiefs are. Mick Cronin, head coach of the UCLA Bruins and one of the hottest coaching candidates out there, said this about what it takes to make a winner.
The reason teams do things like defend, really execute their plays, is because they have humility. You have humility. So I've talked about it before. I've talked about it over the holiday break. We need to get some humility. I told him it's not, our fate isn't going to change until we get some humility. Till we're cool does not win. You got to be willing to do the uncomfortable things that go into winning. If all you're worried about is getting 12 points, regardless of the outcome for our team, it's going to continue. We got to totally change that. We're not going to win until we're humble enough to do the things that it takes to win games. Name of your jersey has nothing to do with who wins basketball games. Usually the team is humble enough to do the things it takes, gets the win. Winners know why they win. Losers, they don't know why they lose. They think it's the coach, their teammates, the referees. Winners know that intangibles win games. Preparation, adherence to the game plan, execution, physicality, toughness. Winners know that. They know the jersey doesn't matter. They know the little battles within the game. They're willing to do the uncomfortable things that go into winning a game.
I mean, again, I'm not trying to, as the kids say, glaze Kansas City here, but does that not sound like what the Kansas City Chiefs have been under Andy Reid? I don't hear Travis Kelce, who is, again, 56th on the list of pass catchers in the NFL right now. Have you heard TK pop up like Malik Neighbors did this weekend and go, my guy's got to give me the ball more? Have you seen him going after Patrick Mahomes on the sideline like CeeDee Lamb has gone after Dak a couple of times? No, you don't see that out of
No, and if you listen to Kelce on his own podcast, he praises Noah Gray all the time. And Noah Gray got a lot more passes this past game than Kelce did. And so he's praising his teammates in a place where he could just pump himself up all the time because they just signed a big deal for the podcast. It could be all about him, but when he talks about his team, he talks about his teammates.
Yeah. Again, I don't know what to say to you other than definition of a team. And there's one more reason. It's because I don't think there's a coach in the league that is better at understanding the strengths of his team and playing to them than Andy Reid. They figured out exactly. I don't know why I asked the question. I said coming into the draft or after the draft when they got Xavier Worthy, I'm like, oh, this kid's got a unique skill set. If they can figure out how to work that into the offense, they're going to be fine. As if that's not all Andy Reid does, is figure out what his guys are the best at and work it in. Nick Saban was on game day this weekend. They asked him about the concept of losing a team, and he actually took it one step further in what I think fits along with this conversation.
Well, I think you have a greater chance to lose your team when you're transactional as a leader, which is the way I was until 1998. In other words, everything was about winning or losing. And when we won, I patted people on the back. But when we didn't win, I was probably too harsh, didn't use it as a teaching moment. And negative experiences without teaching kills morale. So I had to change into being a transformational leader. Somebody who was somebody that players could emulate, cared about the players for their benefit, not my benefit. Had a vision for what we would accomplish and how we were going to do it, and had value-based principles that were going to help them be successful in life. And play one play at a time. Everything's about process. Nothing's about outcomes. And we became a different kind of team. We actually won that game and turned around. And, my coaching career actually changed 360 during that time as well. Didn't have a great record before that game. Had a much better record after that game.
You think? So look at the difference in the record right there.
Look at that.
It's cool for you to basically say you were that guy.
I was that guy.
I was that guy. Again, is that not Andy Reid? You have seen it in the past where somebody makes a mistake and Andy Reid is the first guy to get over there and talk to him a little bit. Failure is, as the great one and I love to call it, a teachable moment, right? And you should take advantage of teachable. The best coaches do not immediately. There's plenty of videos of Nick Saban chewing guys out on the sideline. I've stood feet from Nick Saban when he's on one of those chew out sessions. Happened to be Mississippi State, A.J. McCarron, back in 2007 or whatever it was. A.J. McCarron was the backup quarterback. They were up on like Mississippi State, like 30 points. They sent in A.J. McCarron as the backup. McCarron went in, threw a pick in the end zone, and Saban was all over his behind. And there's video that goes around on the internet where it looks like Saban is just chewing McCarron's behind raw. Y'all, I was 10 feet from that. A very dear friend of mine from high school was the assistant sports information director in Tuscaloosa at that time. Got me on the sideline for that game. Do you know when I can tell you what Nick Saban in that rant, Nick Saban was not just going, "Oh, what are you doing, you idiot?" He wasn't. What he was saying was effectively, in that play, it's designed to pull the safety up and leave the back corner of the end zone open. That safety stepped up, but you missed. You actually ran the play that we were running the decoy for this other play. I need you to do this, this, and this. And if you watch that rant, do you know what he does when McCarron walks away, when he dismisses McCarron? He slaps him on the butt. He gives him the old good game pat. He looked like he was, running McCarron rough, but he wasn't. He was actually coaching him up. He was just very animated doing it. That's Andy Reid. So, yes, Patrick Mahomes' numbers are very, very average this year. Very pedestrian. Not what you expect out of the baby goat. Not at all. But what is not being discussed by guys who are looking at the numbers and going, "Oh, look, Patrick Mahomes has fallen off." What they're not discussing is the fact that outside of Kelsey, there's not an established veteran in the wide receiver core that he can lean on. You got Xavier Worthy, who is shaping up to be a stud for sure. But that's first-year guy whose talent is run real fast, right? Then, because of that, you got Andy Reid, who's going, "All right, I got at best an average wide receiver core, but here's how all their talents can be maximized for Patrick Mahomes." That works. And number 3, I got Patrick Mahomes on the sideline, who you never really see him start throwing the helmet around and getting upset at anybody but himself. He stays the leader on the front line and does the thing that needs to be done. I don't mean to glaze Mahomes for no reason. I got plenty of Tony Romo and Troy Aikman doing that enough in my ears every Sunday, even in games that Patrick Mahomes isn't in. But I was watching the Colts game this weekend over the Dolphins, and I don't remember who it was, Richardson or whoever, does something wild, and the announcer was like, "That's a play Patrick Mahomes makes look easy." And it's like, why are we doing this? This is the Colts and the Dolphins. Patrick Mahomes in within 300 miles of the stadium. What are we doing? But you kind of got to give props to the last undefeated team, because if you are only looking at those numbers, yeah, I can see how you feel the way you feel, but you're wrong about it. I'm on Team Rich Eisen on this one. I'm also on Team Lonzo.
By the way, McCall Hardman, Juju, those guys, they're veterans, but they're also system guys, and they know that system. Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose 2 in their 41-31 loss to the Baltimore Ravens last night. Mike Evans left the game early with a hamstring injury, and Chris Godwin dislocated an ankle with just over a minute left to play. Baker Mayfield threw for 370 yards and 3 touchdowns, but had 2 interceptions, while Lamar Jackson had 281 yards and 5 passing touchdowns, as well as 52 rushing yards. Kyler Murray threw and ran for touchdowns last night as Arizona kicked a walk-off field goal to beat the Chargers 17-15. James Conner ran for 101 yards, and Greg Dortch caught 1 touchdown in the win. And make sure you tune in this Friday at 7 p.m. as the Burns Rebels head to Spartanburg to take on the Vikings. It's Burns versus Spartanburg right here on your home for Burns Rebels football. It is us, the Fan, upstate. Crash Cam. Dadgum Cordell Crash Cam. Let's go, Peter. Come on. Here we go. Definitely a fan film, but it still looks cool.
It looks cool.
The flying animations and stuff looks just like animation. It
Yeah.
doesn't look. By the way, if you're still watching, thank you, Chris.
As always.
That's dumb. If you're still watching. If you're not, you didn't hear it in the first place.
Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Indiana wide receiver EJ Williams plans to enter the NCAA transfer portal.
Who does?
Exactly.
I was reading something.
EJ Williams from Indiana.
Now? You're undefeated.
Doesn't mean he's playing. I don't know all the wide receivers for Indiana or any of them.
Also, I am working on an interview with, not related, Mike Shanahan, the offensive coordinator for Indiana, who has been with Curt Cignetti for years, just because I want to talk to somebody about Curt Cignetti. Okay. Hour number 4 of the Rob Brown Show starts now. Welcome back, Rob Brown, the Great Lonzo, and you. One of the things that has started to make a somewhat regular appearance on this show have been food takes from Jason Kelsey. Of course, Jason and Travis on the New Heights podcast, of which I'm not going to lie. They've won me over, but I'm squarely a Jason guy. I like Travis, all right? I like Travis, but I'm a Jason Kelsey guy, all right? Because Travis gets all the glitz and the glam. Jason's just a dude.
See, this is surprising because I would think that you would be in the other camp because Jason is more Neanderthal than
See, I think you underestimate my
Travis
broism.
but Travis is out on
Travis
the
is a
town
bro.
guy. Yeah,
Right.
but he's also out on the town guy. He's also he's always out doing stuff and new ventures.
But see,
And
Travis is
just like
Travis-
Jason because he's tailgating and doing all that.
Right.
Just out
That's
with the
much
people.
more
Okay.
Rob Brown.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
He is, as am I. He's a man of the people. All right. He's a man of the people. And I was going to play the clip, but I forgot to unmute it.
He's a man of the people.
Travis is into like the high fashion stuff and all that. And that's, I mean, I got a little Travis in me, but I'm all Jason. All right.
Mr. Matching glasses with every outfit.
I got the red ones yesterday. Red ones are coming out for Tank Top Thursday. Can't wait till the
See,
Caitlin
but-
Clark Indiana Fever
So
jersey
now I
show
got to
up.
make sure to remember, no matter what I'm wearing, which probably won't be a tank top, do not wear red on Thursdays.
Well, no, you're good this Thursday. This Thursday, which one am I going with this Thursday? I forget who I'm bringing. I think I'm bringing out the Dirk Nowitzki this Thursday. Been hanging on to the Dirk for a minute.
It's
We'll
hard.
see.
It's hard for me to not wear red or black. So I mean,
This one's gray. It's gray with the blue. It's
Okay,
the
all
gray
right.
and blue maps. So the Kelsey Bros, big fan. And one of the things that has been making a number of appearances lately is Jason Kelsey food takes. Because he's got some that are really good, and he's got some I don't love. I'll give you one out of the gate. Big fan of what he and Kelsey are doing with the cereals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
The mixing of the cereal.
Yeah.
That's a
Big fan. Big fan. I am the dude that the day that Lucky Charms said, what if we make Lucky Charms, but it's only the marshmallows? I was like, that's the greatest idea ever. Somebody deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for deciding a box of Lucky Charms, but only the reason that we like the Lucky Charms, the marshmallows. Big fan.
It would save it probably saved a lot of sibling arguments because
For sure.
kids, well, he got more marshmallows than me.
100%.
But when they're all marshmallows, no, he didn't.
Everybody gets the same amount of marshmallows because they're all marshmallows. Great idea. And what they're doing, which is, take the marshmallows over here and the Cinnamon Toast Crunch over here and the Cocoa Puffs over here and mix them all together and get just a hodgepodge of the best parts of the best cereals. Great idea. Well, Jason Kelsey had another food take on the New Heights podcast. And this one, I diverge from the great Jason Kelsey.
If you like lobster, you're lying to yourself. You like butter.
Lobster tastes like absolutely
Lobster can essentially be toast at that point. There's no reason you're eating that other than to get butter in your system.
The protein. They're getting the protein.
I like crabs. Do you really like breaking all of this and getting minimal meat? No, you like butter.
It's so true.
Stop lying to yourself. Pour some of that Lowry's on a piece of toast and put some butter on it. It'll be way easier than eating that, trying to break open a freaking crustacean.
Oh man, that's good right there. Shout out to Red Lobster. All right now.
All right, here's where we get Elite Beach Guy. Elite Beach Guy is about to show up. See, I knew it. I knew that's what it was.
Okay. You say that like it's a bad thing. You say that like it's a bad thing.
I obviously on the side of the two Buckeyes that were just speaking.
Lonzo!
Lobster is not that good.
What?
I like crabs, but I've had to do the crab thing where and there's not enough meat in it for the effort. Give me a crab cake. I know it's mixed with stuff, but at least there's something more there than me try to pull that little bit of meat out of the thing. And no one really knows how to use those things where you break the legs, except for Elite Beach Guy. So I'm there with my Buckeye Bros.
All right,
absolutely.
Let's talk about all the reasons you're wrong here. Number one, popping open a crustacean, crab, lobster, crawfish, whatever. It's just like anything else. The more you do it, the better you get at it. The better you get at it, the faster you get at it. The faster you get at it, the more efficient you get at it. The more efficient you are at it, the better it is. Okay. So if you walk down and sit down at a Rob Brown crab boil, crawfish boil. I did a boil last night. That's what the lady and I had a Low Country shrimp boil for our for the wedding. But because it was a wedding, we didn't really get a chance to sit down and dig in. So last night was because we're totally bleeping adorable. Last night was our 1 month anniversary. So because she and I did not get a chance to sit down and eat the Low Country boil we paid for at the reception, she came home and I surprised her with a Low Country boil at the house. I just did a little baby boil on the stovetop for her. Okay. And when we started dating and I did the first boil, because I do a couple of boils a year. If I can get crawfish and they're not, going to make me go into bankruptcy to afford them, I'll do a crawfish boil. If not, I'll do a low country boil, which is same thing, but shrimp instead of crawfish. But you boil the shrimp shell on whole, right? Deheaded, but whole. And the first time she's like, I can't believe it is taking me this much time to get so little meat out of a shrimp. And I said, it's because you're doing it wrong. Let me show you how you do it. And I taught her how to correctly peel a shrimp. Now she smokes these things. Joey B says, my wife, the small, demure Southern woman, becomes an absolute savage with a pair of claw crackers in her hand. Right. Once you learn how to do it, it's not a task. It's just pop, 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 you're done. Enjoy that bit. Number 2, I'm not going to sit here and argue that lobster or crab or crawfish or shrimp is the most flavorful of the meats. Obviously, if you want that, you go get yourself a steak and you don't cook it above medium rare because anything above that is burnt and ruined. But the beautiful thing about a shrimp or a crab or a crawfish or a lobster is that it is going to take the seafood taste that is inherent within it as it is seafood. And then it is going to bring out the flavor of whatever you cook into it. I, for instance, am a big fan of Zatarain's boil. Zatarain's to me makes the best in-pot boil spice of all, okay? So last night, you pop a Zatarain bag down into the boiling water and you let that spice soak for a long time. You just let it come into the water. And then when you're boiling the seafood, all that flavor gets into that meat. So now you get the touch of the meat because it does have a flavor. Travis is wrong, all right? It does have a flavor. It's not a super bold flavor, but it does have a flavor. Not every flavor has to kick you in the throat. Some flavors can be subtle and dance on the palate just a little bit. That's the subtle. That's the greatness of subtle flavor is not only does it give you just a touch, but it allows you to utilize it to enhance other flavors that are within that particular meal. Okay? So however you cook it, I'm a big boil guy. I like to go with the Zatarains. But there's Old Bay, right? Old Bay, if you go up into the great Northeast, you go up into Maryland and all that, Old Bay is it. And Old Bay's good. I actually like Old Bay. It's not as good as Zatarain's to me. I'm a Cajun guy at heart. I'm gonna take that kick boil before I take the Old Bay. But Old Bay's good. But you drop the Old Bay in there, you drop the Zatarain's in there, or you drop the Yo Mamas in there, whatever you're gonna use. What I do is I use the Zatarain's, and then I hit it with a couple of teaspoons of Tony Chachere's, and then 2 pinches of cayenne, because that cayenne's going to float, and that cayenne's going to give that meat and that sausage just a little bit of a pop. All right. I will acknowledge that of all the crustaceans we are talking about, lobster as flavor goes, it's on the bottom end. All right. But if all you're doing is boiling a lobster in water and then dipping that lobster into melted butter, you're not getting the best out of that lobster. When you boil that water, put something in there. Put your little pepper in there, a little spice, a little herb. Let that get into that lobster. Then you move on, and then you add the butter. That's the play. I'm saying respectfully because I love Jason Kelce. Respectfully, Jason Kelce ain't come to a Rob Brown boil yet, and I would like to extend the official invitation. If this, for whatever reason, happens to cross into the circle of influence that is Jason Kelce, my man, the next time that you happen to find yourself in Charlotte, North Carolina for a Panthers game, in Atlanta, Georgia for a Falcons game, or maybe you're just on a little vacation down to the Carolinas, maybe taking your lovely wife up into the Blue Ridge or whatever. You were invited to the Casa de Love. You were invited to the Burrow Cave, Jason, and I, Rob Brown, will put on a boil, and I'll let you pick the seafood too. We can do a blue crab boil. We can do a crawfish boil. We can do a shrimp boil. I'll even do some lobster. I've never actually done a lobster boil before, but I'll give it a go. I bet I can nail that too. James said, LOL at the Panthers getting a Monday night game anytime soon. All right, that's fair. That's fair. If you're ever in Atlanta, come on over to the Casa de Love, because this take on food, I am going to go full elitist with the next sentence. All you're telling me is you have had.
So you're saying you haven't yet.
Correct.
You're getting ready to.
Correct.
Okay.
Everything I've said so far is just spitting facts. Bars.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Here's where I am going to say elitist. All this take from you says to me, Jason, is that you're a landlocked Ohioan who's been eating bland-ass, boring-ass franchise seafood your whole life. And you know how I know that? Here's how I know that. Because at the end of the seafood conversation, with all due respect, Travis Kelce shouted out Red Lobster. That's why you think it's bad, my dude. That's why. Because you ain't had good seafood cooked by people who know what they're doing. If I say seafood and you shout out Red Lobster, which is fine. Love the Cheddar Bay biscuits. I will go into a Red Lobster just for the biscuits. And I'll tell you straight up, all you can eat shrimp at the Red Lobster, I will go drop my $22 on the table and I will pound pounds of shrimp down because shrimp's easy to get right.
If you work at a Red Lobster in the area, I love you. Obviously, he doesn't.
Because
so,
again, Ohioan with bland-ass seafood experience.
Okay. All right.
That's all it is.
All right.
That's respectfully. That's all it is. I don't expect, and this is not bad.
Would you stop with the respectfully? It's definitely not respectfully.
It is respectfully.
No, you should say arrogantly.
No. This would be like if I, who grew up on the beach, was to start going out there and giving you advice on how to survive a blizzard. You'd go, you don't know anything about it, bro. Respectfully, you don't know anything about it. You don't know what it's like. You can't tell me how to do this thing because you don't know about that thing because you ain't been around it. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have grown up without I'm not saying it's impossible to get good seafood in Ohio. What I do know is it takes time to get the seafood to Ohio. And then I got a bunch of people cooking in Ohio who just don't cook seafood. So what I would like to do,
I'm just going to say that there are Michelin type restaurants in Ohio, and they probably have their seafood flown in. It's not like it's the backwoods Kentucky, and you can't get there unless you know some guy who can tell you how to get there. It's not that.
Lonzo, how many Michelin star restaurants you eat at?
Again, arrogant. How many do you?
Travis Kelce shouted out Red Lobster.
Yeah, and as soon as I heard that part, I knew where you were going with this entire take.
What's an Ohio delicacy? Like, what's the food in Ohio?
I think any food's a delicacy if it's prepared correctly. I don't have that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but
yes.
I don't have that elitist attitude. We do this better than anyone else because I don't care.
So no one does anything better than anyone
because
else.
Your grandma probably cooks really good. It doesn't mean that your niece does. I mean, it just and don't do that, James.
Don't do that, James.
Yeah,
you know better than bringing up Skyline Chili, that garbage can ass BS food that it is.
By the way, Kelsey's don't like Skyline.
Good.
They make fun.
I know. See, this is disturbing for me because I know Travis got taste.
I am guessing that both of them have had lobster and crab that cost more than probably you make in a year.
Clearly not.
Yeah, I'm guessing they have because they are.
Because if you
rich.
think lobster is nothing more than a butter delivery system, you just ain't had good lobster. That's just all there is to it.
I've heard these takes from other people when I first came down here because I went to Joe's Crab Shack and how could you? That's not real. It's like, okay, dude, I've never had it before. It tastes fine to me. And again, I love their lobster take because lobster is it's not that good. I think it's one of those rich foods where people say, I can afford to have lobster, even though it's not really that good. Now, if it was like Wagyu beef or something, which I've never had, but I hear it's pretty good, it's still a steak. But
so this is what it comes down to. There's this thing that people do. I'm not going to point anybody in particular, but there's this thing that people do that go, rich people do it, but it's not better than I got. Yes, it is. That's why rich people do it.
Well, I just said they've had the top quality stuff, better than anything you've ever had and they don't like it.
First off, I promise you they ain't had better lobster than I have.
I bet they
All
have.
right?
I bet they
guarantee,
have.
I guarantee they have.
You can't guarantee that. You can't.
Son, I grew up rich, baby. I'll say it.
First of all,
I grew up rich.
that is not.
You want
human-
elitist? There's
it's not-
elitist.
No, it's not humanly possible for me to be your son, unless there's time travel involved. But I've never understood the elitism about food.
See, here's this thing. What year?
It either tastes good or it doesn't. And just because I don't think it tastes good doesn't mean that whatever.
It's no. See, here's the problem. The disconnect is not that you don't think it's good. The disconnect is when you shout out Red Lobster as your go-to seafood, that tells me that you, for a fact, have not had the best seafood. Because if Travis and Jason had the best seafood, they would have been like, shout out to Mickey's in Kansas City, the best lobster.
You have these same arguments about Duke's mayonnaise. I mean, if you had never had these conversations about Duke's mayonnaise, your argument would have more weight to it. But you've done this argument about mayonnaise. I mean, come on.
I don't think I have done, you ain't had good mayonnaise. And I know that because you shouted out Hellman's. All right.
Come on. Oh, you've gotten mad because anyone said Miracle Whip. So
okay, Miracle Whip sucks. Objectively, Miracle Whip is booty cheeks.
You've had the same argument
Miracle
about
Whip's
mayonnaise.
trash. It's just trash. It's not mayonnaise. All right. It is objectively, it's on the jar, not mayonnaise. But put the mayonnaise to bed. Let's dial in here. If you think
that's freaky if you put mayonnaise to bed.
Okay, that's not what that means.
Okay.
If you think that lobster is just a butter delivery system, you ain't had good. You just haven't had good lobster. I don't know what to tell you. And if you think blue crab ain't worth the time to open a blue crab, it tells me one of two things. Either A, you ain't had good blue crab, or B, you ain't gotten good enough at opening the blue crab to realize it's not that big of a chore. It's not that much work if you know what you are doing. Take the time to learn how to. It's like peeling a shrimp or a. I can have a crawfish.
No, you said shrimp, right?
Yes,
I can't let that go.
That's how I've said it 6 times this segment. That's how I'll say it.
Yeah, but I've done my best to not. But
if you come to a Rob Brown crawfish boil and you don't know how to peel a crawfish, I will have 12 crawfish peeled in the time you get the first one done. Now, you can go, it's not worth it. Yeah, it is. It's worth it to learn how to do it.
What he's saying is, unless he has a whole lot, don't come for that because you ain't going to get to eat, and he's going to eat it all.
No.
That's what. Why would you do 12 when they did one? A good host would say, hey, let me help you.
I do.
That's not what
I'm saying. It. No, that is. You've decided what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. If you come to the house and you don't know how to peel a crawfish, I will teach you how to peel the crawfish. I will teach you how to grab it by the right ring, how to get the head twisted, suck the juice, all right? How to get that first ring ripped, squeeze the tail, pop it out, takes me a half a second.
There's a lot of people going, I ain't doing that.
I don't know. Suck the head, pinch the tail. That's how you eat a crawfish, all right? So when I get you there, I will teach you how to do it so that you don't go, oh my God, it took me 10 minutes to peel a crawfish for that little bitty bite. No, it's not. No, so I'll have a whole plate of crawfish peeled in 2 minutes. But when that's the spot that you are out, when that's the spot you're in, it makes sense that you would take that and translate it onto the food. It ain't the food's fault. So, Jason, if this makes its way into your circle, open invitation to come to the Casa de Love. It's not as nice of a house as yours is, all right? But I will throw you personally a boil. I will teach you how to pop a crawdad. I will teach you how to pop a blue crab. I will teach you how to eat a lobster and make it more than just a butter delivery system because I am sad for you. I am sad for you that you think that's what this is. It's not. I promise I got you, dog, because I love you and you deserve better than what you think you have had is good seafood because you clearly ain't. I'm here to help, my guy. I really am. Casa de Love open invite for the Kelseys to come by and actually learn what good seafood is. I got your back, brothers. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Salvation Army.
All right, guys, quick reading. We're coming back. Stay right there for me. Now we're back. Nobody shouts out Red Lobster. Yes, they do, Mike. That's my problem. People shout out Red Lobster and then go, but seafood's not that good. Nah, come on, man.
I don't judge you by the restaurants that you like to go to. I don't look down on you. I mean,
You were saying is looking at it.
I could. If you're a shrimp and grits person, I could look down on you a whole lot because of how grits don't taste like anything. Lobster at least does have a little bit of a taste to it, and this is not that good. And you know, yeah, he's a man of the people, the 1% people.
No.
And I'm down there with
No,
the rest of
you
you.
don't have to be a 1%er to appreciate good food. I'm doing it right now.
You got a minute. Stop waiting until the end of the break to leave. You're right, Joe. I could put pepper and butter on cardboard. Just don't think, and maybe it's a character flaw. I can't think of any food that I feel so emotional about. I can't think of any restaurant that I'm just offended by. I just can't think of it. I mean, you know, in the end, if I don't like that restaurant, I just don't go to it. And if you go to it, good for you. And I can't go to Red Lobster because their booths are too small. I mean, that's just, I mean, it was made for people who are Matthew Causey size. You guys don't know who that is. Well, some of you do. A very skinny person. Here's what I hope. I hope Taylor Swift decides to go with Travis Kelce to a Red Lobster and watch the explosion.
The Rob Brown Show continues. The Fan Upstate. Corn Chip text the show 71307. Start your text with Fan FAN. Text says, Corn Chip says, my wife loves her some crawfish. I can't get behind it. Well, then consider me hashtag Team Mrs. Corn Chip. She gets it. Again, I for some of y'all,
You
there's a
must have
skill
a
issue here.
select few of friends. Well, he doesn't like that, so you can't be my friend. You can't, so you
When
can't
did
be
I
my
say any of
friend.
that?
I mean, just
In
I
fact,
mean,
quite the opposite.
You are not my people because you don't like what I
No,
like.
quite the
That's what-
opposite. I want better for you. I know how good it can be.
You know,
I want better for
and
you.
when you use the talking down, you bless your heart tone, that really makes people go, "Thank you, Rob."
I want better for you. I want y'all to enjoy the best life has to offer. And if you think crawfish are complicated, yeah, bless your heart. I can help you. I'm here to help. I'm here to make your life better, not worse.
I guess this is ignorance is bliss. I guess that's what it is. You know,
It is.
That's the best seafood you've ever had is Red Lobster because that's the only seafood you've ever had.
That's sad.
I'm
I feel
glad
bad for
it's
you.
not sad.
It's sad.
Because if you enjoyed the experience and you may never be able to afford what Rob can
What if
afford.
the best pizza-
So I mean, enjoy what you can afford.
What if somebody said to you the best pizza they've ever had was from a gas station, or the only pizza they've ever had was from a gas station? You're telling me you won't say that your pizza joint you've been telling me about for a hot minute is better than the gas station in the heater in the better than the pizza in the heater at the gas station?
No, I would say, here, dude, here's $5.
That's basically what I'm saying.
That's also,
I'm here to help
So
you.
what you're willing to do is all of us who can't afford this rich food that you talk about, you're really willing to give us either cash.
Oh man, shrimp's like $5
talking about
for 2
lobster.
pounds.
We're talking about lobster. I mean, don't change it. I want
Lobster.
you, make me a lobster.
Lobster ain't
Make me a
cheap.
lobster and improve. Well, that's what they
But
were
it ain't-
talking about.
Let's not pretend you're breaking the bank to go to the store and get a couple of lobsters.
Okay.
You're at like $20.
All right, so
All right?
make me some lobster.
The argument that it's expensive, that's not what the argument was. The argument was, does it taste good or not?
I've heard that. I've heard that there's gas station pizza that's really good. By the way,
There's a couple that aren't bad.
QT and there's some pizza restaurants run out of gas stations.
They aren't bad. But if you can look me in the face and tell me that you are willing to allow people to put those on par with the pizza that you have been pimping to me since you got here,
I am not them. Okay, I've taken people to places where I
That's
really
not
like
what
the
I'm
food
asking.
and they don't.
That's not what I'm
I am
asking.
not. It's not me to tell them how they should think or how they should feel or how they should taste.
Nah, I will. I'll be the bad guy. I don't care. I've been doing it all day. Why not? Texas said, dang, Rob, blue crab sucks. Lonzo was correct. Too much work for too little meat. I know how to peel one. Lived in Florida for 30 years, family in Maryland, and it ain't hitting like that. Dude, I got nothing. I got nothing. Blue crab claws are a delicacy.
You know
They're
what?
phenomenal.
You know what I feel? I feel bad for you. It's been a day for you. It's
Has
like
been a day
it's
for
like
me.
hardly anybody on your side. Joe's always got your back, though. I mean that.
No.
That's
hardly
cool.
anybody on my side. No, that's just incorrect. Texter said, stone crab. Another texter said, if you're shouting out Red Lobster for anything other than the Cheddar Bay biscuits, you're a moron. No, it ain't just me. Texter said, Lonzo probably buys seafood at Long John Silver's.
By the way, loved Long
I will
John
say
Silver's
this.
back
I will
in the
say
day.
this. I will say this. Shout out Long John Silver's. They're not bad.
I mean,
but they're not serving. They're serving like cod and whitefish.
Well,
Whitefish is easy to get right.
And you know, in that little boat, there's all that extra stuff, which is just breading. But as a kid, you're just like, it's almost like French fries. I mean,
Oh, for sure. My mom used to get real mad because she'd go to Popeyes and she'd get onion rings. And by the time we get home, I'd eaten all the breading off the onion rings. So she just had onions.
And by
At
the
that
way,
point-
when you're a kid and you're poor, like I was, going to Long John Silver's it's amazing because you get to be a pirate and you got a pirate hat and you get to eat all those little kernel things.
I do. I will shout out Long John and Captain B's. All right.
Captain D's. B's is you don't go
But
to
again-
B. D's though, I got food poisoning there once and then I never went back. But that was in Ohio.
I'll say this. But again, most of what you're getting there is shrimp, which is very easy to get right, and
Crispies.
whitefish.
That's what they are.
Whitefish, which is easy to get right. What I'm talking about is the seafood that takes a higher skill level to cook and consume. There are just things that have different levels of necessity, and seafood's one of those things.
I have never thought, let me see if I can cook one of these crabs. No, because they're too expensive and that's a lot of effort to do.
They're not
Hey,
expensive, nor does it take effort to do. It's just
It does take effort.
It takes preparation to get it right.
And if it's cooked wrong, you could get really sick.
Right. So cook it right. It ain't like it's a big. Y'all making it sound like,
And here's
again,
the
like you
other-
got to
here's
be
the other
damn
thing.
rocket
You know,
scientist to cook a
I
crab.
don't go to a restaurant to have to do work. Okay, I go to a restaurant to be served a meal, so I don't have to work for it. So if I have to go there and crack, I don't need to go somewhere and have to crack stuff open. Okay. Some people just like violence and the pleasure of I broke someone's bones or something. If I go to a restaurant, I'm going there because I don't feel like cooking myself. I don't want to go there and have to do a bunch of work.
It's not a bunch of work. I think that's the other part is you guys are dramatically exaggerating the amount of effort it takes to open a crab. It's not that big of a deal. It's really not. Oh, get a fight. No, you don't. No, you don't. Grab those crackers, put it on that spot on the shell, crack it open, pull the meat out. That's literally it. That's literally it. What a fight Jason started on the show today. What a fight Jason started on the show today. All right. 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE is the number. You can text us 71307, 71307. Brian says, I don't like seafood, but I do like fish out of the sea, but it's hard. What? Brian, what? You don't like seafood, but you do like fish? What? Okay. All right. That's it. I don't know. Is that enough seafood talk? Do we keep going? I feel like this is an important conversation because listen, Travis and Jason, who I am, let me be again very clear, big fans of. I'm a big fan. I like the pod. I like the bros. I like that Jason shows up to Monday Night Football in like a jogging suit. All right. Half the reason I still work in radio is because the great one and I can wear basketball shorts and backwards caps as part of the work uni. I'm a big fan of that. I respect Jason Kelsey and Travis Kelsey. They have figured it out, man. I respect it. This is just a bad team.
Here's the other thing. When we have conversations that are not sports related, because we're human beings, and these are conversations that people are having in their office or you have with a member of your family, and you think, wow, am I the only one that thinks like this? And in Rob's case, he is.
No, he's definitely not. Definitely not. All right, we got to get some more sports in here. Let's go to the phone line. Remington. Is that right? Remington? Like steel?
What, did I spell it wrong?
I'm just making sure. I think
before,
I don't think in the 17 years I'm doing this, I've never spoken to a Remington. I feel like this is a moment. Remington, welcome to the show. What's up?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Good, buddy.
Love your show.
Thank you very much.
I just want to start off with two things. Blue crab sucks. Red lobster sucks.
Okay, well, 50-50.
Anyway, but back to sports. So I'd like to pick y'all's brains on the ACC. What does NC State need to do to get over the hump of not being able to get more than 9 wins? Like the last 3 years, we've had 9 wins in a row. This year we suck. If we win out the rest of the year, which we won't, we could finish the year with 8 wins, which we won't. But what does NC State have to do? Because I feel like they have the talent on the field. I mean, they might not, but does Dave Dorn need to go? Does the offensive coordinator need to go, even though he's only been there 1 year? Or do we need to give the defensive coordinator the head coach job? Or what does NC State need to do to be able to beat Clemson consistently? Be able to, I mean, we beat the Tar Heels consistently, so I'm okay with that. But what do they need to do to get over the 9-8 win hump?
First off, before we talk about your Wolfpack, I have to ask a question. Are you okay? You don't sound okay, bud. You sound down a little bit about your Wolfpack.
I mean, it's a rough year, man. I've been waiting for NC State to play in the ACC championship or get more than 10 wins for probably the last, 10 years now. And we always get 9 wins and we can't win a bowl game, or we get 9 wins and we finish third in the ACC because we lose to a 2-10 Boston College team on senior night at home. But then we can go to Death Valley and beat Clemson. That don't make sense to me. So that's the life of a Wolfpack fan for you. But I'd just like to know what y'all think NC State needs to do.
It's a fair question, Remington. Appreciate that phone call, man. Thank you very much. I will start with this. I think first and foremost, I really do like Dave Dorn. And I think on top of that, I think that you guys have this year on paper, let's be very clear about that. I think on paper, you guys have the best roster NC State's had in a very long while. I think the talent is there. I think there's a couple of things. Number one, I think for whatever reason, NC State in games like when you got smoked by Clemson, I think that, and this, I don't know if this is a Dorn thing. I don't know if this comes from because the philosophy hasn't gone down the pipeline enough yet or what. I think this NC State team is almost over emotional. I don't really know how else to put it, right? Like you pointed out that game over, what was it when Clemson came to NC State a couple of years ago, and it felt like you guys had them on the ropes and then the wheels just came off. I feel like this team buys too much into allows the emotion to dictate the game to you more often than not. And you can, again, I go to the Clemson game this year, and it was in Death Valley, 59-35, your final score in that one. And in fairness, it was one of the games in this streak that Clemson's on of looking like Clemson. Again, K. Klubnik had I think 3 tutty passes in that game. It feels like when NC State gets punched in the mouth, you guys don't respond to that. Now, ultimately, it is going to filter up to the head coach. But Dave Dorn where Dave Dorn is to me? He's where I feel like Shane Beamer was last year. You're like, okay, the talent is here now. The recruiting is good. The talent is here. You do have the problem of being in the middle of NC State, Duke, Wake Forest, and of course, all the Carolinas, South and North coming up there to recruit as well. So it's not going to be easy for you. I don't know if this is a philosophy thing, a Dave Dorn thing, or what. But I feel like NC State, when they get down, stays down. And it's not just for a game. It kind of goes through the rest of the season. That being said, you are absolutely good enough to beat Stanford. I think you're absolutely good enough to beat Duke. At Georgia Tech's a pretty good team. That's a tough one. North Carolina's down this year. I think you're looking at 3 out of the 4 games the rest of the year are wins. I've won a bunch of money off of the Wolfpack. I'm not giving up on this team yet. I do think Dave Doran's one more year away, but the talent is now there for NC State. I'll talk more about this probably tomorrow. Remington, appreciate that phone call. We're up against the break on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
One and 6. Andy Dalton threw for 93 yards before Bryce Young came in. The Panthers were held to 180 yards of total offense.
Give me 30 seconds, guys. Be right back.
Not a lifetime treatment option, and they're probably, if they are a younger patient, signing up for multiple surgeries down the road.
As a physician and medical director for QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli's seen a pattern of trending joint pain. Prolonged medication, steroids, then surgery, possibly another surgery.
So a lot of our patients are trying to avoid or put off surgery, and this is the treatment that can help them do that.
QC Kinetics extracts your body's healing substances, concentrates them back into your aching joints to help heal and restore those areas, providing lasting relief.
Oh, I love being able to tell my patients, before we do this surgery, let's try another option. Let's see if this is right for you, because now they might not have to have surgery at all.
Call today for your free consultation.
Smells like chicken noodle soup in the hallway.
At least it's not super buttery popcorn.
That's 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772.
Sometimes it's the little victories that mean the most. At Ingles, we know there's no one who'd rather share any experience. All the ingredients.
This is the story of the one. As a warehouse manager, her job is to transform chaos into clarity and to see patterns where others see problems. Luckily, she's got a partner who shares her perspective. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products, backed by real person support and in-depth online resources, so she can tackle every task with precision and turn potential setbacks into streamlined success. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It takes a lot to prepare for game day as a dedicated fan, and preparing the perfect camping meal might be most important of all. That's why Hellman's Real Mayonnaise is the MVP. Hellman's Mayonnaise is the secret to bring out the rich and creamy taste of all your game day dishes, from buffalo chicken dip to your favorite sub sandwich and everything in between. So give it a try, and mayo game day be delicious with Hellman's Real Mayonnaise. Shop at your local Walmart, Kroger, or grocery store, and add some extra deliciousness to your game day dishes this football season.
What if I told you that there was a single management software that could handle your CRM, accounting, manufacturing, marketing, inventory, sales, and everything in between for a fraction of the cost of the dozens of disconnected platforms most companies rely on to manage their business? Sounds pretty good, right? Well, that's Odoo. Odoo is the end-all, be-all for any business of any size, and it's ready to help your company reach the next level and beyond. Learn more at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
From the Ingles Market Studio, the Fan.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Live from the Freelance. Now, the Infinity Sports Network.
Right now, Alonzo, the team that is on top of their respective NFL division that is least likely to win that division. Buffalo at 5-2 in the AFC East, Baltimore at 5-2, or the 5-2 Steelers out of the AFC North. I'll let you pick either one of those. 5-2 Houston in the AFC South, one game above the 4-3 Colts. 5-2 Washington, one game ahead of the 4-2 Eagles. 5-1 Detroit Lions, one game, tied with the Minnesota Vikings. Of course, they beat the Vikings this weekend. The 5-1 Vikings or the 5-2 Packers. The Bears are 4-2. By the way, the NFC North is the best division in football right now. Just so we're all clear.
I am curious. Do we know how bad of an injury Jaden Daniels?
It is a rib injury. I do not believe that they have updated it yet. In fact, let me see if there is a Tuesday morning update. Dan Quinn says that Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels is, quote, week to week, end quote.
So I think that factors in.
Oh, 100%. Because there's not a lot of breathing room for the Washington Commanders right now, pardon my expression, with a rib injury. They've got the Bears, the Giants, the Steelers, the Eagles coming up in the next 4.
Yeah, I'm not. So right away, that's my team right there.
Yeah.
That I'm picking because, Mariota came in and looked good, but
yeah, now there's tape on him though.
Yeah, and I mean that's in relief. That's not starting several games.
The Eagles have the Bengals, Jags, Cowboys, and Commanders in that 4-game stretch. Atlanta 4-3 and Tampa are both 4-3. Seattle is 4-3, one game better than Arizona and San Francisco, who are both 3-4. If I ask you right now, which team in the division lead, and you can include the tied teams here, would you consider the least likely to end up winning their division at the end of the year? Is it? And again, I'm going all the way through the end of the year. Is it Washington? Is it the 4-3 Atlanta Falcons, who got smoked this weekend by Seattle? Is it Seattle at 4-3?
It's either Washington or Seattle because despite all the injuries, I still believe San Francisco might come back and win that.
So Ayuk is done for the year. We did get that update. He is cooked for the year. Debo apparently this weekend was ill. He was not hurt. He was sick.
He was. He had to go to hospital. I heard it earlier. Pneumonia.
Yeah. I mean, that'll keep you down for a minute, right? Because it's not just how long you're out. It's also getting back up to speed. And then there's McCaffrey, who is still out there floating in the wind. Here's what I will say about that. I don't think San Francisco factors, and I'll tell you why. I have been saying for 2 years now, I don't think Brock Purdy is as good as a lot of people are trying to make him out to be. I think he's functional. I think he's good. I don't think he is a top flight, top notch quarterback. I think Brock Purdy has been made to look good by having the Avengers around him. You know what he is? He's Hawkeye, right? He's a regular guy. Yeah, granted, he's got some talent that a lot of people don't have. But at the end of the day, Hawkeye without the Avengers is a really talented guy. But he ain't lasting long if Thanos shows up and it's just him. All right? He's just not. He's good. He's better than average. He's certainly upgraded. But without McCaffrey for at least a length of time, even though Jordan Mason has stepped in and looked pretty good in relief. And again, I think much like with quarterbacks, the longer they rely on Mason, the less efficient he's going to become. But without McCaffrey, now without Ayuk, he is down to, and probably for at least another week or two, probably not going to get the best out of Debo. Without the Avengers around him, I think San Francisco is in trouble right now at 3-4. They are not leading that division, but I think 2 weeks from now they will be 2 further games out. They got the Cowboys and the Buccaneers coming up. The Cowboys aren't good. We put them in a bad category yesterday. I don't see San Francisco hanging around. I think they could lose to Dallas this weekend. In fact, I'll probably take Dallas on the money line win over this team without him. The other team is, and Joey B jumped at it first, if the injuries to Godwin and Evans are serious, it's absolutely the Buccaneers. That's 100% correct. I can go ahead and tell you right now, Godwin is out for at least a number of weeks. A dislocated ankle is not something you tape back up.
That's saying you trust Atlanta. And Atlanta looks good, and then they don't.
I think Atlanta wins this division the way Tampa won it last year. There's just nobody else.
Well, the way anyone in the NFC South wins in the last decade.
Yeah, just be the least terrible.
Yeah, I just...
Because you got Tampa, who's now missing wide receivers 1 and 2. Evans is going to be done for at least a week because of the hammy. Godwin, I'm not saying he's done for the year. I wouldn't be shocked if he is with that ankle injury. There's New Orleans.
We suck.
And then there's, of course, the Carolina Panthers at 1-6. Atlanta's going to win this division just by being the least bad. This is going to be another year where you have like a 7-10, 8-9 team win this division because they're garbage. James said Atlanta is known for holding leads, so I trust them. 28-3 will never die. It will go for another team could drop a lead 30-3 and 28-3 will still never die. I am interested in what this Jaden Daniels injury turns out to be. Because I agree with you entirely. If they got to lean on Marcus Mariota, Washington's cooked. They will give this lead back to Philly. But if this is like a bruised rib and he's out 2 weeks and comes back, and I will tell you, I've had a bruised rib before. It sucks, dude. It sucks. It hurts to breathe. It hurts to stand up. It hurts to lay down. It hurts to sit down. It hurts to eat. It hurts to drink. It hurts to laugh. It hurts to talk. It just hurts all the time. You cannot play NFL football effectively with even a bruised rib. Forget cracked or broken if that's what it ends up being. If he's out for any length of time, it's Washington, it's Tampa, and frankly, I think it's San Francisco, to be honest with you.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
Yeah, I've had bruised ribs too. Shout out to the guard from Lancaster High School. I hope you trip.
You still holding that grudge, Colonel?
Forever. Ribs were bruised for quite some time, like the entire season that year. All right, the first in its Xing is, unfortunately, Samantha Irvin.
So Samantha Irvin has left WWE. She was the ring announcer. She was phenomenal at her job, to be honest with you. She announced yesterday her departure from Raw. They announced her departure from Raw on Raw, and then they welcomed back the GOAT. Lillian Garcia is back, sparkly, short dress and all. And then, of course, she came out, she botched her first intro. But hey, she's been out of the game for a minute. Let her warm back up.
Never got the appeal of Lillian Garcia, ever.
That's a you problem.
Yeah,
bud.
no, it's not. It's not. She was not that good, especially compared to Samantha Irvin. And Harold Bockwinkel is like the greatest of all time.
Superstar. I love Lillian.
It is not a surprise that Samantha is leaving since Ricochet left.
Yeah, I was going to say, as soon as Ricochet left, whenever her contract
And
came
there,
up, she was
there
going
are
to be out.
other rumors that some of her racy pictures may have something to do with her
I
leaving too.
highly doubt that.
Yeah.
I highly doubt. I have seen what Zelina Vega has posted. All right. Her cosplay is less revealing than what Samantha put. I don't think it's that. In fact, I think at this point, WWE post the Mandy Rose era, I think they're fine with the ladies posting more, shall we say, racy pictures online. Like, don't go full OnlyFans on us. But if you want to post up the itty bitty teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini, we're good with that. I think her fiance or husband or whatever is in AEW, and I think she's on her way there as well.
Yeah, that just makes sense. And as far as Lillian Garcia goes, she's a stopgap. She's in between. She's just there till they find somebody else.
She's the GOAT.
She's not.
She's the GOAT.
Yeah, I just don't get.
She
the
came out
appeal.
to the last Raw that was here, and she got the loudest pop of the night. She did. I was
All
there.
right. The next thing that's Xing is Christopher Lloyd.
I don't know why Christopher Lloyd is trending. I am going to say Christopher Lloyd in Who Framed Roger Rabbit was the greatest bad guy performance in any movie
Dude,
ever.
that was so freaky.
It was
very
Christopher
freaky.
Lloyd in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the best bad guy of any movie ever. That man was terrifying.
And you were a little kid, so probably when it came out. So I get it. Yeah, it was. It's his birthday.
That scene where he melts the animated shoe.
Yeah.
I have nightmares to this day about that. The drawn-on face on that shoe when he dips him into acid is horrifying. There's a thing going on right now. You'll appreciate this. I think down at Disney right now, they're doing Mickey's big Halloween party or whatever. And one of the things they've set up this year, so as you walk around the park, is there are different stages where they have bad guys from their different movies. So there's a spot where you go into a stage and it looks like hell from Hercules, and they got James Woods, Hades up there. Well, one of the bad guys, they got Dr. Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and Ferb, and he's hilarious.
By the way, the new season happens next year. Original cast.
Big Phineas and Ferb guy.
Original cast coming back.
Big Phineas and Ferb
Yes.
guy. One
Talk
of
about
the
that
ones
Saturday on the Pulse.
One of the ones that they have is his character from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and he actually murders a shoe on the stage. The shoe's like animatronic; it moves around, and it does the scream from the movie. I saw it and had flashbacks to. If I had to go to a therapist and they're like, where do you think your childhood trauma came from? It's from Christopher Lloyd. That's where it came from. Not my mom. My mom was great. Christopher Lloyd scarred me as a child.
He also
Happy
was,
birthday, by the way, to Doc Brown.
He was 86 and best known for that or Taxi, or he was also a Klingon in one of these Star Trek movies.
I actually had heard that before.
Which is weird, but yeah. All right, and finally, Tom Hardy.
Venom drops on Thursday. I don't care what anybody says. I have enjoyed the Venom movie so far. I enjoyed him. I like this iteration of Venom. I like anti-hero Venom. I think it's a great Venom. And I think Hardy has said he's done with Venom, but I really want him in the MCU. I want a Spidey Venom team up.
There's some people thinking it's wordplay that he's done with Venom, but that doesn't mean he's done voicing Venom.
That's fair. I want this Venom in a team up with Tom Holland Spider-Man. I think it'd be incredible. I don't know. I also don't know why I call him Spider-Man. Spider-Man, far from home.
That was a Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, he works in Nashville, Tennessee. That's Spider-Man right there. He done swing for them tall buildings over in Music City, USA. Spider-Man. All right, that's it for us. Y'all have a great rest of your Tuesday. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again and find out what food take Lonzo when I throw blows tomorrow over. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Have a lovely rest of your day. Enjoy NBA opening night this evening. We'll break those games down tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later.
No, not today.
Big Phineas and Ferb guy.
Yeah, this led to an exchange when I was Raven was at the house while I was doing show prep, and I mentioned it was coming back because her and Cameron big time, and me too. I loved that show. That Ashley Tisdale is 39. No, she's not. It's like, yeah, she's 39. She's pretty old. You know, she was the voice of the sister.
Yes.
Do you know who Ashley Tisdale is?
Candace.
Yes. No, I mean, but she was in a ton of things like Zach and Cody. That show.
Yeah, she was big on Disney Channel on a few shows, wasn't she?
She was. Was also a singer, I think, and was in a couple other things. I just really want to know what Perry the Platypus has been doing.
Perry.
The guy who plays Doofenshmirtz is like 70 or something, but I mean that voice.
I didn't do it because I'm trying to get him in. I'm trying to get my nephew into Phineas and Ferb because it genuinely is a smart show. It's a very well written show.
It's probably a little bit old for him though.
He's 7 or almost. No, he's 6. I think he's in the zone. It's a very smart, well written show. It's funny. It's quick. It's got enough of those like adult comedy jokes in there to keep the parents entertained while they have to watch it. I enjoy, and their Marvel episode was incredible. It was incredible. I'm a big fan. I'm trying to get him into it. And so if I can, this year I've been working on it. If I can get him into it, Dr. Doofenshmirtz voice actor is on Cameo, and I want to get him a cameo for Doofenshmirtz. I also just want to get me a cameo for my voicemail from Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
Well, yeah, I don't believe that. The writer said these are the best songs they've ever written.
Dude, they have had some bangers,
and
too.
Their songs are really good. They are.
They have had some absolute bangers on that show. Mom, Phineas and Ferb are building a roller coaster in the backyard.
That, and they went to space, all kinds of stuff.
All right, dudes and dudettes, I got to run. I got to go do my last weigh-in to prove that I'm a good weight loser. Because I am. I'm a big loser.
Way to go, loser.
Thanks for being here. You're all amazing people. I love you. Tell your friends about us. Help us grow the show. Have a lovely rest of your Tuesday, and we will see you back here tomorrow. Goodbye.
Red Lobster!
Sucks. Bye.